Chapter 1401. In the middle of the ballroom, which was filled with lively music, two men walked in with steady steps. The man in front was dressed in a pure, white, luxurious outfit with golden trimmings. He had a head full of blonde hair and wore a mask that only covered his eyes. Every movement of his revealed an elegant temperament, just like a noble young master. The other man was someone Wu Yin and Sylvia had only met twice, but he was no stranger to them. His silver hair was tied into a ponytail that hung behind him. His fringe was dyed a bright red, and he wore a silver mask on his face. His entire body was surrounded by a cold aura. Shockingly, it was Makawo's. Just as Wu Yin and the others expected, Mikitas had openly entered Vantion City and attended the masquerade ball. Even though it was only a guess, Mikitas wanted to use the continent's conference as a stage for the so-called greater banquet that he spoke of. It was highly likely to happen. A fine luster flowed through his wine-red eyes. Like a sniper rifle, he aimed at Mikitas. Wu Yan's lips curled up. Looks like we don't need to search anymore. Don't need to search anymore? Sylvia was startled at first, but she soon realized something was amiss. Obviously, they were wearing masks, and their identities were fully concealed, but the presence of the noble-looking man and Makawo's seemed to suppress all the representatives of the various forces present in the ballroom, causing the gazes of the people in the ballroom to stay on them. Their extremely strong sense of presence made the people around them involuntarily open up a path for them to pass. Moreover, at the end of the road, it was unknown whether it was a coincidence or intentional. Wu Yin and Sylvia happened to be there. Thus, the scene of Mikitas walking towards Wu Yin and Sylvia became the focal point of the entire scene, attracting everyone's attention. Everyone here was a representative of one of the few major factions in Eluxtran. Apart from the guards and attendants, everyone else was at least a noble. Thus, they keenly sensed the change in the atmosphere. Everyone's gazes were focused on this side, and their eyes were filled with interest. As mentioned before, the masquerade ball was the prelude to the continent's conference. For the people here, the clash between the two factions would more or less give them some idea of the situation. However, they never would have thought that. This prelude to the war wouldn't have any effect. No matter how they talked, Mikitas was destined to stand on the opposite side of the chivalric kingdom. Oh, the noble-looking man who was talking to Mikitas only noticed the two people in front of him now. He turned his head and looked over. He had a perfect smile on his face. For a moment, I thought I saw a goddess, the noble-looking man said in an exaggerated yet polite tone. He then quickened his steps and walked towards Wu Yin and Sylvia. However, he ignored Wu Yin, who was holding Sylvia's hand. He placed one hand on his left chest and bowed to Sylvia. Isn't this the fourth princess of a chivalric kingdom, Her Highness Sylvia? Hearing this, Sylvia's heart tightened. She was already wearing a mask. Was she still recognized? Although you're wearing a mask, your unique aura isn't something a mere mask can hide. The noble-looking man smiled elegantly, as if he saw through Sylvia's thoughts. However, this is a masquerade ball after all. Let's put aside the constraints of our identities and have a friendly chat. You're right. Sylvia suppressed the nervousness in her heart. She lightly nodded her head, as if she agreed with the noble young master's words, but she also lightly returned the other party's compliment. To be able to have a friendly chat with the current head of the Wathausen family, Sir Klaus, one of the most famous nobles in the Sepharo's empire. I'm deeply honored. Oh my, so I was still seen through. The noble-looking man called Klaus shrugged helplessly. The smile on his face didn't change at all. It was clear that Klaus didn't intend to hide his identity. Then, Klaus turned his head and looked at Wu Yin. And this is... me? Wu Yin turned around and met Klaus' gaze. He grinned at Klaus with a meaningful smile. Mikitas and I are old friends. Old friends? This time, Klaus didn't expect Wu Yan's answer. He was stunned for a moment. Indeed, Sir Loon and I are old acquaintances. Mikovez raised his head from behind Klaus and said emotionlessly, Long time no see, Sir Loon. It has indeed been a while. Wu Yin smiled faintly. I've missed you, Sir Mikitas. What a coincidence. I have the same feeling too. Although Makawo's said so, his tone was filled with coldness, causing the temperature in the surrounding air to drop a little. At this moment, Wu Yin and Makawo's only have eyes for each other. One has a leisurely smile on his face, while the other has a cold expression on his face. They don't look like they're old acquaintances at all. Instead, they look like they're arch-nemeses, giving people the feeling that the situation could take a turn for the worse at any moment. I believe that even if Wu Yin and Makawo started fighting in the next second, no one here would be surprised. As though sensing the brewing storm, Claus took a step forward as though he had put an end to the confrontation between the two of them and smoothed things over with a smile. I didn't expect the two of you to be old friends. What a surprise. I am the one who is surprised. Wu Yin grinned as if he's hinting at something. Sir Klaus, my friend's character isn't that good. He seems to be your follower. Please protect him and don't let him get into trouble. Hearing this, Mikovez lowered his head, hiding the change in his gaze. Klaus' eyes flashed with a strange light, but the smile on his face didn't change. I'm very satisfied with my follower. I know what I'm doing. Please don't worry, sir. Good. Wu Yin shrugged and held the silent Sylvia's hand. Well then, we'll be taking our leave. Please enjoy your time. Klaus didn't ask him to stay. Instead, he gave him a polite greeting. Then, Wu Yin and Sylvia went in the crowd. Oh, my good friend. Klaus chuckled as he looked at the direction Wu Yin disappeared in. That person isn't simple. Yes. Mikatas's eyes flickered with an unknown light. He's a very troublesome person. What's wrong? Klaus asked without turning his head. Will I get in the way? It's fine. Mikatas replied coldly. Anyway, the plan is about to start. Hearing this, Klaus smiled. You're right. What should we do? Sylvia spoke as soon as they left Klaus and Mikatas' sight. Now that we've confirmed that Mikovez has entered Fanteon City, or even Fanteon City, if he launches an attack now, don't worry. Wu Yin tightened his grip on Sylvia's hand. Even though we can confirm that Mikatas has appeared, we can't be sure that he'll attack. Maybe he's only here as a follower? That's impossible, Sylvia retorted. Mikatas knows that his identity has been exposed, but he still took the risk to enter Fanteon City. This is premeditated. That's why we lack evidence. Wu Yin narrowed his eyes. We lack evidence to prosecute him. Lord Roland, Your Highness. A slightly anxious voice entered Wu Yin and Sylvia's ears. Wu Yin and Sylvia turned their heads at the same time. They saw Corset anxiously running towards them. What's wrong? Wu Yin had a bad premonition when he saw Corset's anxious expression. Corset's next words confirmed Wu Yan's premonition. Not good. Lord Yashur and Aikchan are missing. Chapter 1402. Fanteon City, inside the airship of the Cypheros Empire. In a vast space at the rear of the airship, there was a very strange instrument. It looked like the tail or head of a ferocious beast. It was beautifully decorated, as if it had been plated with real gold. It emitted a dazzling halo. Although its appearance was strange, there was a transparent round cover in the center of the device, allowing people to see the situation inside. It was like a cockpit, but more like a capsule. There were cables hanging from the bottom, connected to some mechanical devices with screens installed on the ground. The instrument was very large, more than enough to fit an adult dragon. The side of the instrument was inlaid with countless sparkling crystals. These crystals were all dragon chi crystals. The instrument was inlaid with dragon chi crystals? Was it that the element that a product born from magical engineering should have? This enormous instrument was none other than a Magitech instrument. Near the magical instrument, several people in white overcoats, who looked like researchers, were leading about 10 technicians in work clothes. They were observing the instrument's movements while burying their heads in the instruments with screens, constantly operating something. As the magical instrument operated, buzzing sounds could be heard. The 1,000-year chi crystals inlaid on the instrument's body were sparkling, causing the air to ripple with dense magic power. If one looked closely, they would discover that in the capsule of the magical instrument, a petite girl and a naked boy were hugging each other like conjoined twins. Their eyes were closed, and they were moving up and down. The boy and girl were the missing Yasha and Yak. At the front of the magical instrument, a dark-skinned petite girl and an old man in a white coat stood together. They stared at Yashu and Yak in the capsule with different expressions. The dark-skinned petite girl's expression changed slightly, as if she was disgusted, but also as if she was trembling. Clearly, she was disgusted by the instrument, or rather, by the matter of Yashu and Yak being thrown into the instrument. She was disgusted. The old man's expression was calm, or rather, cold and emotionless. It was as if the two in the instrument weren't living beings, but two pieces of meat. It made one shudder. Looking at Yaksu and Yak in the capsule, Anya's expression kept changing. In the end, he asked, "May I ask, why did you call me Yasho? Will Blake and the young dragon Acker be thrown into this machine?" Oh, the doctor seemed to be surprised that Anya would ask such a question, but he still answered truthfully. "This is Mikevez's idea." "Sir Mikhail's?" "Anya, clench your fists. What's your goal?" "To awaken the last descendant of the Avalon Holy Dragon royal family." The doctor did not hide anything. His wrinkled eyes twitched, and his eyes flashed with shrewdness. It said that in ancient times, there was a great number of people. Actually, all dragons will transform into holy dragons. All dragons will transform into holy dragons? Anya was extremely surprised. The dragon clan has a long history. Now, they have fallen to the point where they need to rely on humans to survive. However, in ancient times, the dragon clan was the overlord of the continent. If they didn't reach this level, how could they dominate the entire continent? The doctor explained in a realistic manner. The reason why the dragons of the dragon clan can transform into holy dragons is all because of this machine. After that, the doctor's gaze fell on the instrument again. According to Mikeves, this machine can't be transformed into a holy dragon royal family. It can be used on those dragons that can't transform into holy dragons after they mature. It can forcefully transform them into holy dragons. Anya looked at the instrument as well. Then if it's used on the young dragon Acker, that means yes. The doctor's eyes were filled with fervor. We plan to use that effect to forcefully awaken the last descendant of the Avalon Holy Dragon royal family and return to their original dragon form. Anya's heart clenched, and she asked with a trembling voice, "What about Yaksu? What about Blake?" "He is the knight chosen by the last descendant of the Avalon Holy Dragon royal family. He is the master of the Dragon Queen." The doctor answered expressionlessly. "If he's gone, even if the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor awakens, he will quickly die without the star essence. Then, this experiment will be meaningless." "You mean?" Ania's pretty face turned pale in an instant. "That's right." The doctor smiled coldly. "Use the machine's effect and the magic power in the Millennium Chi Hua crystal. When the last descendant of the Avalon Holy Dragon royal family awakens, forcefully merge it into the body of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor. Then, Blake will become an organ that exists solely to provide star essence." Whoa! All of a sudden, the instrument trembled violently. Its entire body was suffused with red light and electric arcs, and an alarm-like echo rang out. "What's going on?" The doctor and Anya were both shocked. As soon as the doctor's voice fell, the panicked voices of the staff below also sounded. "There's an abnormal reaction. The magic power detector is displaying abnormal values. An unknown magic reaction has been detected. It's increasing in intensity. The machine has lost control. It's refusing to accept the emergency stop signal. The situation is critical." The doctor's face turned pale. Whoa! The entire space began to tremble as if it was on fire. The temperature in the air continued to rise, and the machine's condition became more and more abnormal, causing the atmosphere of panic to spread. Everyone's anxiety was written all over their faces as they desperately operated the machine. The atmosphere became incomparably dangerous. How can this be? The doctor's face became more and more unsightly. "What's going on?" Anya's face tensed up. Dong dong. At this moment, a heartbeat like sound rang in someone's mind from a machine. It turned into a ripple and fluctuated. Just now, Anya and the doctor were both stunned. In the next moment, the vibrating machine became silent. Bang! With a loud explosion, the entire machine exploded, and bright red flames began to burn in the entire space without warning. Wah! The staff began to flee in panic. Don't panic. Calm down. The doctor yelled, but no one listened to him. Wang, a dazzling brilliance, suddenly rose from the center of the sea of fire, like a pillar of light shooting up, directly melting the ceiling of the airship and rising into the sky. In the pillar of light, Yashu and Yak still had their eyes closed, hugging each other as they floated in the dazzling pillar of light. Everyone present could clearly see that at this moment, AI Ku's body was fluctuating with a dense wave of magic power. That magic power was at least 10 times stronger than any dragon in the world. On Yashu's body, a snake-shaped star carving was engraved all over his arm. It flashed with a blazing red light. Not long after, Yashio and Yak seemed to have dissipated. Their bodies emitted stardust like light and turned into starlight particles, disappearing without a trace. Anya stared blankly at this scene, muttering as if she was dreaming. They disappeared, Wong. At the same time, everyone in Fantion City saw a pillar of light suddenly shoot into the sky from the airship of the Cypheros Empire. It didn't take long for it to connect to the dark night sky. What is that? Everyone in Fantion City was stunned. Within the pillar of light, an exquisite geometrical pattern abruptly emerged. It was as if it was engraved in space. It was also like a pair of wings that slowly spread out. Immediately, 2 hollow ring-shaped magic arrays, with the pattern as the center, slid to the sides. Not long after, they formed an oval-shaped luminous object. The originally dazzling full moon dimmed under the illumination of the mysterious glowing object. Upon closer inspection, one could see that the mysterious glowing object's appearance was extremely similar to an egg. Yes, it was an egg. An exquisite geometric pattern was engraved on the egg, emitting intense light like the sun. The pattern was identical to the star carving that covered Yasha's entire arm. Pairs of wings spread out around the egg, surrounded by 2 ring-shaped magic circles. Blinding light rose. In the sky, an egg covered in 2 ring-shaped magic circles and surrounded by angel-like wings was imprinted in the eyes of everyone in Fantion City. The egg was glowing brightly and had 2 ring-shaped magic circles on it. The egg was surrounded by angel-like wings. It was imprinted in the eyes of everyone in Fantion City. Chapter 1403. What is that? In a ballroom where the masquerade ball was held, the beautiful palace music and the nobles' joyful laughter seemed to have been cut off. Everyone in the ballroom gathered on the balcony where they could clearly see the outside. They were all dumbfounded as they stared at the gigantic winged egg in the sky. So beautiful. Sylvia stared blankly at the glowing object floating in the sky. She unconsciously let go of Wu Yan's arm and immersed herself in the beautiful scene. Sylvia wasn't the only one. Almost everyone in the ballroom had an intoxicated look in their eyes. They were all attracted to the glowing object. Wu Yan was the only one who stared at the egg in the sky. His expression became more and more serious. Inside the glowing egg, Wu Yan sensed a magic power not inferior to that of the old generation vampires in Blood Frenzy. He also sensed a familiar presence. Yeshu, Yak! Wu Yan clenched his teeth. It can't be. Look, dragons! In the ballroom, a nobleman with sharp eyes suddenly exclaimed and pointed to the distant horizon, causing everyone present to look up at him. Holy dragons equipped with riding equipment flew over from all directions in Fantion City. They were enveloped in magic power and looked like glowing stars. They all flew toward the egg in the sky. What's wrong with the holy dragons? Sylvia asked anxiously. However, no one could answer her question. Holy dragons appeared one after another. They soared into the sky and gathered around the egg. Usually, there were very few holy dragons, but now there were so many of them that they could be compared to a group of ordinary dragons. There were more than 100 of them. Moreover, these holy dragons were all equipped with riding equipment. This proved that they all had a master. Furthermore, these holy dragons were all holy dragons. They were most likely holy dragons from Lorea's Holy Dragon Knights. Only Lorea's Holy Dragon Knights could have so many holy dragons. However, they were only able to see the holy dragon, but not the riders of the holy dragon. What the hell was going on? At some point, Sylvia cried out in surprise. Lancelot! In the sky, Lancelot was one of the holy dragons that were gathering towards the giant egg. Lancelot, where do you plan to go? Sylvia shouted, and even started chanting a summoning spell. Unfortunately, Lancelot did not appear at all when the incantation was cast. Lancelot! Sylvia's face paled. Lancelot actually disobeyed my orders. Lancelot disobeyed your orders? Wu Yin flinched at first. Then his eyes narrowed. Don't tell me those holy dragons all disobeyed their master's orders. That's why there are no riders? Sylvia's expression changed when she heard that. The holy dragons disobeyed their master's orders? This isn't a joke. If the holy dragons and Loriaman's holy dragon knights all disobeyed their master's orders, then without the help of the dragon tribe, Loriaman's holy dragon knights would be crippled. At this moment, if other forces were to attack Loriaman's Night Kingdom, then without the dragon tribe's power, Loriaman's Night Kingdom could only be considered a small kingdom. It would definitely be destroyed overnight. The situation wasn't optimistic. What the hell is going on? Sylvia's delicate body trembled when she thought of the consequences. Why did the dragon tribe suddenly lose control? What's going on with that egg? I'm not sure about the details. Wu Yin cast his gaze towards the giant egg in the sky and the groups surrounding it. The holy dragons that were circling in an orderly manner as if they were worshipping the dragon tribe. What I can be sure of is that the situation is troublesome. While speaking, in the sky, the glowing egg also began to change. Silver feathers floated down from the wings surrounding the egg. Like white snow, they adorned Fanteon City like a dream. Then, on the surface of the huge egg, a kacha sound was heard. At the same time, a crack appeared on the surface of the huge egg. Everyone in Fanteon City felt their hearts skip a beat when they saw this. Kacha, kacha, kacha. In the next moment, cracking sounds echoed in the night sky, clearly entering everyone's ears. Following the cracking sounds, the egg cracked open at a speed visible to the naked eye. Pop! In the end, the beautiful winged egg shattered. Beezy, a blinding flash spread out like an explosion, covering the entire city of Fanteon. The dazzling light made everyone in Fanteon City shriek and close their eyes. Sylvia, who couldn't stand the dazzling light, did the same. When she opened her eyes again and looked up at the sky, her beautiful face was filled with disbelief. The huge winged egg had already disappeared. In its place was a dragon that was over 100 times larger than the largest holy dragon, and even larger than an airship. It had pink fur, bright red eyes, and a triangular horn on its head. 2 horns were on the left and right sides of its head, and 1 horn was in the middle of its head. It was like the horn of a unicorn, standing straight up. The dragon's body looked like it was covered in ice-cold armor. Its body was filled with power. Its wings were different from ordinary dragons. They were more like feathers than wings. Like an angel, there were 2 pairs of wings with 4 wings. Everyone in Fanteon City was stupefied when they saw the dragon in the sky that looked like it could support heaven and earth. What was that? Roar, 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 roar. As if it had heard someone's question, the giant dragon opened its bright red eyes. A loud roar that was enough to disperse the clouds in the sky rubbed against the air and turned into a storm-like airwave that shook the entire night sky. At the same time the dragon roared, a naked person slowly emerged from the dragon's body in the middle of the 3 horns that formed a triangle above its head. One of his hands and lower body was buried in the dragon's body. Only his upper body and an arm with a strange pattern of a snake were exposed to the air. His eyes were tightly shut, and he looked like Jesus who had been nailed to the cross. It was creepy. Sylvia's eyes widened in shock when she saw this person. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Wu Yin couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. If Ya sure showed up there, then what about Yak? That dragon. Wu Yin stared at the roaring dragon. Could it be Yak? While Wu Yin was thinking about this, the dragon descended from the sky and stomped on the ground with a powerful stomp. Boom! Following the sound of an explosion, the Cyphero's Empire's airship was trampled into two by the dragon's foot and exploded into pieces. What? What is going on? In the crowd, Klaus pretended to step forward and exclaimed in surprise. The Chivalry Nation's dragon actually destroyed the most advanced airship that our nation is proud of. Hearing Klaus's words, the people present finally reacted and began to make a ruckus. The Chivalry Nation's dragon destroyed the Cyphero's Empire's airship? Are they trying to start a war? Nonsense. Sylvia tore off her mask angrily and pointed at Klaus. Are you slandering our Chivalry Nation? Your Highness Sylvia, your words are not convincing at all. Klaus shook his head in grief. Everyone here saw it with their own eyes. The Chivalry Nation's dragon personally destroyed our airship. Isn't that the truth? You. Sylvia clenched her fists but couldn't find any words to refute. She was so anxious that she was going in circles. The dragon tribe only contracted with the Chivalry Nation's people, and only the Chivalry Nation's people had the right to control the dragon tribe. So far, the only exception was the Chivalry Nation's people, and it was specially arranged by the Dragon Mother. Under such circumstances, the Chivalry Nation's responsibility should be pinned on the dragon tribe. It was also because they understood this that the scene was so noisy. Sylvia was also speechless. If this continued, the Cyphero's Empire could use this as an excuse to make a fuss and make the Chivalry Nation suffer. The Chivalry Nation of Lorimon was in a difficult position. Klaus's lips curled up imperceptibly, but it didn't last long before it was mercilessly dispelled by a voice. I don't think so. Chapter 1404. I don't think so, right? Wu Yin patted Sylvia's shoulder and pulled her behind him. He looked at Klaus, whose smile froze on his face, and sighed. Sir Klaus, you said it yourself. Everyone here saw it with their own eyes. Wu Yin raised his voice and pointed at the dragon that was destroying the Cyphero's Empire's airship. That giant dragon came out from that giant egg, but that giant egg came out from that pillar of light at the beginning. Everyone should have seen that the pillar of light came from the Cyphero's Empire's airship, right? Wu Yin shrugged at this point. It's actually a dragon from our Chivalry Empire. Then, why did it come out from the Cyphero's Empire's airship? This. Everyone present looked at each other in dismay. Sir Loon, could it be that you think that dragon belongs to our Cyphero's Empire? A dark glint flashed through Klaus' eyes. He then gave Wu Yin a fake smile. If we can get the protection of the dragon tribe, then it's fine if that airship is destroyed. No, the Cyphero's Empire can't get the protection of the dragon tribe. Wu Yin ignored Klaus's ugly expression and casually threw out such a sentence. However, the Cyphero's Empire's magical engineering is the best in the entire continent. There should be many strange magical tools that we don't know about, right? For example, Wu Yin had a casual smile on his face. A magical tool that can temporarily control a dragon or make a dragon go crazy. What do you mean? The smile on Klaus's face disappeared. Are you saying that our Cyphero's Empire will use magic tools to control a dragon to attack our own airships? Who knows? Wu Yin replied casually. Otherwise, Sir Klaus, please explain why that dragon appeared from the light pillar shot out from the Cyphero's Empire's airship, and why it only destroyed the Cyphero's Empire's airship. Why is it not interested in the other airships at all? Hearing this, everyone also looked outside. Indeed, after the dragon destroyed the Cyphero's Empire's airship, it had no desire to destroy the neighboring airships. It flew straight into the sky and roared as if it was venting something. This time, it was Klaus's turn to be in a dilemma. Roar. The dragon suddenly roared again. It turned its head and stared at the direction of Phanteon City like a ferocious beast. The dragon is looking over. Is it coming? Run. Everyone who was admiring the dragon's appearance a moment ago panicked. They all screamed as they fled out of the door, including Klaus, who seized the opportunity to escape. Not long after the ballroom, only Wu Yin and Sylvia were left. Sylvia also seemed to be afraid. She took a few steps back and grabbed Wu Yan's hand. Roland Wei, don't worry. Wu Yin patted Sylvia's hand. His gaze shot to the front of the ballroom like an arrow. The culprit hasn't run away yet. How can we leave? Sylvia paused for a moment. Then, she seemed to have thought of something. Her face tensed up, and she turned her head to look at the center of the ballroom. There, a silver-haired man wearing a silver mask stood straight. He looked at the dragon outside and lowered his head. An extremely sinister aura emanated from his body. Micah Vez, Sylvia shouted in agitation. So it was you who did this? I can't think of anyone else other than him. Wu Yin sneered. Micah Vez, is this the greater feast you were talking about? Micah Vez raised his head. He turned around to face Wu Yin and Sylvia. When Wu Yin and Sylvia saw Micah Vez's face that was hidden under his bangs, their pupils shrank. In the eye sockets of Micah Vez's cold mask, the pair of clear eyes disappeared and turned into a pair of ferocious beast eyes. They were a pair of dragon-like eyes. You. Sylvia was shocked. Wu Yin took a step forward and stood in front of Sylvia. He looked at Micah Vez coldly. You, who are you? He. Micah Vez changed his usual ice, cold appearance and let out an extremely sinister laugh. The temperament of his body also completely changed. He became eerie and sinister. My name is Mordred. Mordred? Wu Yin frowned. Mordred. Sylvia yelled angrily as if she couldn't believe her own ears. Impossible. You can't be Mordred. Sylvia? Wu Yin asked when he saw how excited Sylvia was. His gaze was still fixed on Mikosius. Who is Mordred? Mordred. Sylvia bit her lower lip. It's my brother, Julius Fall. Your brother's Fall? Wu Yan's frown deepened. But didn't your brother's Fall get killed by him? He was indeed killed. Mikvas. No, it should be Mordred sneered. But the one who died was another spirit. Sylvia tilted her head in confusion. Wu Yan was also confused for a bit before he exclaimed in surprise. Dual personality? More like two spirits. Mordred laughed maliciously. The other spirit knew of my existence. That's why it colluded with Julius to kill me. Why? Sylvia couldn't help but stand up. Why does my brother want to kill you? Why? Mordred closed its eyes. When it opened them again, its ferocious eyes glinted coldly. Because I will change the fate of the dragons. Sylvia didn't understand what was going on. Why do dragons have to compromise and become slaves to humans? Is it because they don't have enough astral essence? Mordred clenched its fists, its expression becoming even more sinister. That's a joke. If that's the case, why don't you just eat humans as food? Anyway, eating food with star essence can give you the star essence, right? Wah! Sylvia's scalp tingled. I see. Wu Yin understood. It's because you have such dangerous thoughts that Julius wants to kill you. Am I right? Correct. Mordred snorted. He knows that my existence will bring disaster to this world. That's why he wants to kill me. That's unnecessary. Wu Yin snorted. You want to change the way dragons live with just one dragon? What a joke. Is that so? Mordred's lips curled into a devilish smile. Then, what if this dragon is one of the two main bloodlines of the Sage Dragon King? Embark, the last descendant of the Nihilenia Underworld Dragon King. The Nihilenia Underworld Dragon King? Sylvia was stunned. You. Wu Yin finally understood what's going on. You're the last descendant of the Nihilenia Underworld Dragon King. Ha ha. Mordred laughed loudly. That's right. I am one of the two main bloodlines of the dragons that have fought against the sacred dragons of Avalon for generations, the rightful successor of the Nihilenia Underworld Dragon King, the dragon's royal family. Sylvia's face was drained of blood. If Mordred was truly one of the two great royal bloodlines of the dragon race, then with his identity as the Underworld Dragon King, as long as he defeated Yak, ruling the entire dragon race in the future would not be a dream. He would definitely be able to make the entire dragon race treat humans as pure food to replenish their star essence. When that time comes, the lives of humans will be like hell. Julius tried to kill me, but I was one step ahead of him. I transformed into a spirit body and possessed his body. That was how I managed to escape. Mordred once again revealed a shocking fact, causing Sylvia's delicate body to tremble. Possessed? In other words, this body is Julius's. Mordred smiled evilly. Then he looked at the night sky outside and fixed his gaze on the giant dragon. But now, I will soon have a better body. This body is no longer needed. After saying that, Mordred's body surged with a shocking dark aura, turning into a cloud of black mist and shooting out like a stream of light. His target was the roaring dragon under the night sky. Chapter 1405. Roar. Floating in the air, the giant dragon with 2 pairs of angel wings suddenly roared, and a look of pain appeared in its pair of red eyes. At the same time, Yashu, who was naked and unconscious like a crucified Jesus, also let out a painful howl. His body twisted and turned as if he was struggling. The star carving on his left hand flickered like a light bulb before it was extinguished, emitting a dark and evil aura. As the dragon and Yashur cried out in pain together, a dark mist suddenly shot out and arrived in front of the dragon in an instant. It followed the dragon's wide, open mouth due to its painful roar and drilled into the dragon's mouth bit by bit like sewage. Roar! The gigantic dragon and Yasha's pained howls echoed in the sky above Fanteon City. Then a strange phenomenon occurred. The armor-like fur on the gigantic dragon's body gradually changed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Traces of black filth seemed to be devouring something as it slowly spread across the dragon's body. Before long, the dragon's entire body turned black. Even its 2 pairs of wings were pitch black, like a crow's wings. The unicorn-like horn on the dragon's triangular head completely disappeared. The 2 dragon horns on the left and right slowly twisted into a spiral shape. Finally, 9 eyes appeared on the dragon's head, releasing a ferocious red light. Its gigantic body was no longer as majestic as before. It emitted a terrifying demonic aura. Roar! In the night sky above Fanteon City, a pitch-black demonic dragon roared at the sky. It was like a demon god from hell had descended between heaven and earth. Roar! 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 However, when such a demon descended, the holy dragons that were worshipping the gigantic dragon all stopped what they were doing. It was as if they wanted to surround it. They formed an encirclement and mobilized the magic power in their bodies. A hostile roar resounded through the night sky. For a moment, the atmosphere above Fanteon City became tense. Roar! This time, the black dragon's roar was filled with anger. Obviously, the holy dragons planned to rebel against it. Both the Avalon Holy Dragon royal family and the Nihilenia Underworld Dragon King family had the right to rule over the dragon tribe. However, the holy dragons had disobeyed their master's orders when Yak had awakened and offered their loyalty to the awakened holy dragon emperor. Instead, when the Underworld Dragon King reappeared in the world, they had raised the horn of rebellion. Wasn't this telling Mordred that the dragons only recognized Yak as their king, the peak of the dragon race? Roar! Immediately, Mordred became even angrier. Pitch-black magic power also emerged from his body. A civil war within the dragon clan was about to break out. In the ballroom, Wu Yin looked at the gigantic dragon that had transformed into a pitch-black demon in the night sky and snorted coldly. Looks like Mordred has taken Yak's body. Yak? Sylvia hugged the unconscious Julius' body, her face full of bewilderment. You're saying that the dragon is Aiko? Yashur was right on top of the dragon's head, and when the dragon appeared, it was very powerful. The holy dragons also disobeyed their master's orders and gathered around the dragon, as if they were worshipping their king. Wu Yin looked at Sylvia. A king that could be worshipped by all the dragons, other than Yak, the last descendant of the Avalon Holy Dragon royal family. I can't think of any other possibility. Now it's not Yak anymore. It's Mordred. In Sylvia's arms, a weak voice replied to Wu Yen. Mordred's original body was lost because of me. Now, it has taken the body of the last descendant of the Avalon Holy Dragon royal family. Soon, it will be able to completely revive as the strongest Dragon King in the world. When that time comes, Mordred will rule over the dragon race and prey on humans like livestock. Humans will be in big trouble. Royal brother. Hearing the familiar voice, Sylvia looked down and saw Julius clutching his head. His expression was pained, but his eyes were clear. She cried out in surprise. Is it you? Royal brother. Long time no see, Sylvia. Julius squeezed out a smile and struggled out of Sylvia's arms to stand up. However, there's no time for us to catch up. We have to hurry and expel Mordred from Princess Yak's body. Do you have any ideas? Wu Yen didn't waste any more time and walked up to Julius. Mordred used to be your fall, and you once shared a body with Mordred. You should know something, shouldn't you? I can share Mordred's memories. Julius nodded and turned his gaze towards Mordred, who was facing off against the holy dragons. To be more precise, he turned towards Yashur, who had fainted above Mordred's head. Julius bit his lips. If Princess Avalon's rider is also here, with his connection with Yak, it's not impossible to chase Mordred out of Yak's body. But now, Julius revealed a troubled expression. Even Yashur has been reduced to a mere tool to provide star essence, and has lost his consciousness. Princess Avalon, whose life is connected to his, must not be in a better state. She has no way of resisting Mordred. In other words, Wu Yen turned to face Mordred. The only way now is to defeat Mordred, right? That's one way, but the opponent is the strongest king of the dragon race. Julius smiled bitterly. Although both the Sacred Dragon Emperor and the Underworld Dragon King need to fuse with the incarnation of the Dragon Seed memory and obtain extraordinary wisdom before they can obtain true power, the dragons are already fighting on their own to resist the Underworld Dragon King. If they don't listen to their liege's orders, there's no way humans can defeat the Underworld Dragon King. Is that so? Wu Yen smiled. Looking at Mordred, who was in a standoff with the dragons in the night sky, Wu Yan's wine-red eyes flashed with system perception. Mordred, level 79, impossible to defeat? With a sound as smooth as flowing water, Wu Yen walked towards the balcony. On the back of his hand, the star carving suddenly emitted a dazzling light, carrying with it a wave of mana that soared into the sky. Like a storm, it swept out and blew towards Julius and Sylvia. Sylvia raised her hand to block the incoming gale, but the corners of her mouth curled up in a long-awaited arc. Julius, on the other hand, was shocked. Magic? How could a human use magic power without the help of the dragon chi crystals and the paladin armor? Furthermore, it was such a powerful magic power. How is this possible? Even if the Holy Dragon Emperor and the Underworld Dragon King have obtained their full power, I don't think they can't be defeated. With that, a pillar of light shot into the sky. Wu Yan's magic exploded. In the next moment, a blood-red mist rose from his body. Descend. Black Dragon's lightning trap. In the dimly lit ballroom, cracks started to spread across the space that was shrouded in bloody mist. Beep, beep, beep. It was as black as Mordred's fur, but it didn't have an evil aura. Pitch-black lightning suddenly flashed from the cracks in space, accompanied by the sound of electricity. Within the cracks in space, a scarlet eye slowly opened. An extreme pressure descended upon the world. Feeling the terrifying pressure that almost crushed his bones, Julius' heart began to tremble. What is that? Lightning? Black lightning? Even Sylvia was at a loss. Isn't it white flames? Under the watchful eyes of Sylvia and Julius, the space filled with cracks suddenly trembled and shattered like glass. A pitch-black shadow flew out from the cracked space, turning into a black stream of light, shooting towards Mordred in the night sky. Wu Yen disappeared from where he stood. Chapter 1406. Fantion City in the hallway leading to the ballroom on the top floor. The sound of metal boots clacking against the ground could be heard. One could clearly feel the anxiety in the owner's heart. Veronica brought someone with her and quickly walked to the ballroom. It had to be said that Veronica had miscalculated. Because of her suspicions about Makawos, Veronica had been on guard throughout the entire city of Antion during the ball. She also sent more people to patrol the city, keeping a close eye on the airships of the Sepharo's Empire and other forces in an attempt to eliminate any possible attacks. However, Veronica didn't expect that the ones who caused the commotion in the end would be the dragons that belonged to the Chivalry Nation. It was completely unexpected. This was truly unexpected. The dragons were no longer under the control of their masters. The holy dragons of the Lorimon Holy Dragon Knights were also out of control. They no longer listened to their master's orders. At this moment, the Holy Dragon Knights that the Chivalry Nation was so proud of were completely useless. This was the weakness of the Chivalry Nation of Lorimon. They relied too much on the dragons. Without the dragons' power, the Chivalry Nation's strength had severely decreased to below that of a nation. If the enemy forces were to launch a large-scale invasion at this time, the Night Kingdom would most likely be destroyed overnight. This made Veronica's expression extremely ugly throughout the whole process. Even so, Veronica had to go to the ballroom first to protect the guests from the top factions of the continent. If the representatives of the top factions of the continent were to die at the hands of the dragons, the Chivalry Nation would be wanted and attacked by the entire continent tomorrow. At that time, the Chivalry Nation would truly be finished. Therefore, even if it was for the sake of a Chivalry Nation, Veronica couldn't go to Fantion City first to disperse the citizens. She had to come personally to protect those important people. Besides, right now, only someone like Veronica, who could display extraordinary combat strength without relying on the Dragon Clan, had the ability to protect those people. As for Gulian, you still haven't regained contact with your pole? Yes. Gulian, who was also wearing a suit of armor but had lost his holy knight armor, took a deep breath. It completely ignored my summons and refused to accept my request to offer the holy knight armor. The rest of the Dragon Knights in Lorimon's Holy Dragon Knights are the same. Even Captain Yujura's Galahad has lost contact. Currently, the Holy Dragons seem to have gathered in the sky above Fantion City. It must have something to do with that unknown dragon. Even Ursula? Veronica clenched her teeth. In this way, the entire Lorimon's Holy Dragon Knights have disintegrated. Without the protection of the Dragon Clan, this country wouldn't it be taken down in one night? This subordinate is ashamed of his incompetence. Gulian lowered his head. Without fall and the holy knight armor, Gulian was only slightly stronger than the average person. Even an earth dragon, pterosaur, or water dragon could easily defeat him. Under such circumstances, there was no way he could take on the responsibility of being the captain of Veronica's personal guards, protect Veronica, and solve her problems. Even acting as a combat force was a problem. This was the first time Gulian realized how insignificant he was. There's no time for you to mourn and complain. While Gulian was unwilling to give up, Veronica still said such a ruthless sentence. Right now, the most important thing is to protect the important people in Fantion City. One mistake and the knighthood is done for. If you want to mourn and complain, you can do so after this is over. Gulian's expression turned serious. Understood. While they were talking, Veronica and Gulian arrived at the ballroom. Because of the fight between Ai, Ku, and Mordred, the magic power of the dragon glory crystals that were used as lighting in the ballroom was affected and lost its effect. The place was pitch black, and it was hard to see what was going on inside. However, Veronica and Gulian were no ordinary people. They easily saw two figures in the dark. One was Sylvia, the other one was naturally Julius. Veronica and Gulian's expressions changed at the same time. Julius, Julius, who was looking at the night sky outside the open-air platform with a solemn expression, turned his head to look at Veronica and Gulian. His eyes lit up slightly. He smiled. Long time no see, Veronica, Gulian. Veronica raised her eyebrows. Gullion also stepped forward excitedly. Julius, you're not dead? I know you have a lot to say, and I know you have a lot to ask, but if it's possible, please wait until after this is over. Julius raised his hand and stopped the two from asking. Right now, there's something more important. Raising their heads, they continued to look at the night sky. Sylvia and Julius' expressions were extremely grave. This caused Veronica and Gullion to calm down a little. They also walked over and looked at the night sky. Their two pitch-black dragons were facing each other from afar, facing off against each other. That's right, there were two of them. It was covered in pitch-black fur, and its horns were twisted like the horns of a demon. There were 9 eyes on the dragon's head, and there was an unconscious youth hanging from its head. Its entire body was fluctuating with an evil aura. The other dragon was also completely black. However, unlike the other dragon, it didn't have fur. Instead, it was covered in dark armor. Its shoulders were adorned with steel shoulder guards, which looked like wings made of steel. Its back was also covered with armor, which looked like a fan or a net. Its forelimbs had a pair of dragon claws, which didn't look ferocious. It only had 3 claws, which looked like a pair of gauntlets, but they looked extremely sharp. On its back, a tail with spikes, which looked like a huge cone, was vibrating slowly, making a buzzing sound. The dragon's body was pitch black, but its eyes were scarlet. Black lightning flashed around its body. Every time it flashed, the space around it would slightly distort and even shatter. It was terrifying to the extreme. Bathed in black lightning, Wuyin stood above the dragon's head. Black dragon? Black lightning? Veronica and Gullion cried out in bewilderment. Isn't that a white dragon? White flames. White dragon. White flames. Julius looked over suspiciously. What white dragon? White flames. Veronica didn't answer Julius' question. Instead, she stared at the 2 pitch-black dragons facing off in the night sky. It looks like he has more secrets that we don't know about. Fantion City, in the night sky, roar. Mordred looked at the pitch-black black dragon lightning trap, bathed in black lightning. Alarm bells rang in his mind. This wasn't the first time Mordred had such a feeling. When Mordred was still in Julius' body, he saw the white dragon's burning flame in an image. It was the same at that time. As one of the dragon clan's royal bloodline, the underworld dragon king who ruled over the entire dragon clan, Mordred didn't believe that in this world, other than the sage dragon king Inpoke, who had disappeared for God knows how many years, there was another dragon that could make him instinctively feel threatened. Not even the sacred dragon emperor of Avalon, another member of the dragon royal bloodline. That was why Mordred didn't hesitate to awaken an army of corpse ash dragons to throw the Ansari Academy into chaos and almost destroy it. He wanted to see the white dragon's burning flame with his own eyes and recognize its origins. Unfortunately, Mordred didn't even get to see the face of the white dragon's burning flame. Now, the problem of the white dragon had yet to be solved, and that man had actually summoned a black dragon, which gave Mordred the same feeling of danger. How was this possible? As the king of the dragon race, even if he hadn't fused with the dragon seed's memories and possessed true strength, there shouldn't be any dragon stronger than him. Now, not only did 2 dragons appear, but they were also being controlled by the same person. Just who was this guy? Beep, beep, beep. Just as Mordred's heart began to tremble, in front of him, a thick sound of lightning flashed in the night sky, like thousands of birds chirping in unison. In the black lightning, above the black dragon lightning trap, Wuyin raised his head and met Mordred's eyes. The corner of his mouth curled up slightly. A sense of danger suddenly appeared in Mordred's heart, causing his pupils to shrink. In the next second, the entire world was filled with black lightning arcs. The space also let out an unbearable roar. Chapter 14:07. Beep, beep, beep. Pitch-black electric arcs jumped around the dragon's body and spread to the surroundings. In just a moment, they covered the entire sky above Fantion City. Crack, 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 crack. Amidst the flashes of the pitch-black electric arcs, the space above Fantion City was visibly shattering bit by bit as if it was glass that was being struck. Immediately, the space above Fanteon City was severely damaged. It slowly cracked open like a spider's web. Cracks containing terrifying destructive energy spread out at an unimaginable speed, filling the entire sky above Fanteon City with spatial cracks. Electric arcs flashed crazily, and the space shattered inch by inch. The Doomsday-like scene horrified everyone in Fanteon City. They wanted to escape, but they didn't know where to go. They could only scream in horror. Some even knelt on the ground and closed their eyes to pray. Even the spectators had such a reaction, let alone Mordred, who happened to be in the middle of the pitch-black lightning arcs and could fully feel the terrifying power contained within them. His 9 ferocious beastly eyes were completely filled with shock. The ability of the Black Dragon's lightning trap was targeted at the destruction of space. The lightning of the Black Dragon's lightning trap could shatter space at will. Under such a terrifying ability, Neha Renee's Underworld Dragon King couldn't be sure to resist it even if she fused with the incarnation of the Dragon Seed memory, let alone now. Fortunately, Wu Yin didn't release enough magic power to unleash the full power of the Black Dragon's lightning trap. Otherwise, if the Black Dragon's lightning trap was fully unleashed, it would be easy to fill the entire Fanteon City with black lightning. Destroying the entire Fanteon City together with space would be as easy as flipping his hand. Was there no dragon in this world that could defeat the sacred Dragon Emperor and the Underworld Dragon King? It was indeed so. Unfortunately, Wu Yan's Black Dragon and White Dragon weren't true dragons. They were familiars, comparable to natural disaster familiars. If the Black Dragon and the White Dragon were to use their full strength, with the current might of the Black Dragon and the White Dragon, even a peak of the 9th step would be obliterated in an instant, let alone a peak of the 8th step. For an Underworld Dragon King who had yet to fully obtain the power of a Dragon King, Wu Yan only took out a magic power that could unleash less than 10% of the power of the Black Dragon's Thunder Trap. Mordred already felt his scalp tingling from the shattered space above Fanteon City. A deadly sense of crisis rose in his heart. How could there be such a terrifying dragon in this world? How could there be a dragon stronger than me in this world? How could there be a dragon with such power in this world? When did the Dragon Clan have the ability to cultivate such a dragon? If that was the case, then what were the Avalon Holy Dragon Royal Family and the Nihilenia Abyssal Dragon Royal Family? Why did it exist? He had just seized Yak's body. After getting the chance to revive, Mordred, who was trying to rule the Dragon Clan and turn humans into livestock and devour them, was confused and crazy. It was impossible for there to be a dragon stronger than him in this world. It must be because he hadn't fused with the incarnation of the Dragon Seed memory and obtained true power. That's right. As long as he could fuse with the incarnation of the Dragon Seed memory and obtain true power, he would definitely be able to defeat those 2 dragons. Roar, 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 roar. Mordred's 9 eyes began to flash with a fierce light as he crazily activated his magic power. Now, Mordred didn't have much free time to control his current body. He gathered all his will and launched an attack on the incarnation of the Dragon Seed memory, intending to forcefully fuse with the Dragon Seed memory. As for the body, without Mordred's will to control it, it was crazy and acted at will. Anyway, this body wasn't Mordred's to begin with, but Yak's. Mordred didn't believe that Wu Yin would directly destroy Yak's body. In that case, only Yak would suffer. Roar! Therefore, the pitch-black dragon let out a roar. He ignored the threat of the black lightning around him and flapped the 2 pairs of pitch-black wings on his back. His huge body was like a war fortress, setting off a gust of wind and the atmosphere trembling. He charged straight at the Black Dragon and Wu Yin. Tisk! Wu Yin was stunned by Mordred's action at first, but then he guessed Mordred's thoughts. He curled his lips and rode the Black Dragon. The terrifying lightning that filled the sky above Fanteon City and caused the space to shatter inch by inch was all collected by the Black Dragon. It slowly dissipated between heaven and earth, falling into a state of no will control. The crazy black dragon brushed past the black lightning that disappeared in time and crashed into the black dragon at the critical moment. Boom! All of a sudden, it was as if two heavy mountains had collided with each other. A muffled crash resounded throughout the world, and a strong gust of wind was stirred up from the impact. It blew away the clouds in the sky and also hit Fanteon City below. The frightened citizens were shaken to the point that they staggered and fell to the ground one by one. Roar! Incomparably berserk magic power surged on the pitch-black dragon's body. In the most primitive way, it supported the dragon's strength and also increased the dragon's impact. The black dragon's two three-fingered dragon claws, which are covered in arm-like armor, clamped on the dragon's arms like iron pincers. The dragon's body was continuously pushed back by the impact. Originally, the dragon's body was more than 100 times larger than the largest model of Holy Dragon. It could be said to be incomparably huge. Although the black dragon and white dragon were not small in size, they were not as big as the dragon. Compared to the dragon, they were like children. In addition, the black dragon's ability was not in strength, and it was not at full strength now. This collision easily pushed it back. With an endless sound of friction in the air, the black dragon used its claws to clamp the dragon's arms and kept retreating in the sky. The surrounding scenery was constantly changing. It was not until they reached the edge of Fanteon City that the black dragon blocked the dragon's impact and stopped. Roar! The dragon struggled a few times, but it could not break free from the black dragon's sharp claws. Its arms could not move, and it could not pull away. At that moment, it simply opened its mouth and gathered all the magic around its body. The magic swirled up like an air current and flowed to the dragon's mouth. Several overlapping magic formations rippled out in an instant and were placed in front of the dragon's mouth, pointing at Wu Yin, who was standing above the black dragon's head. Dragon's breath? Wu Yin suddenly knelt on one knee and pressed a hand on the black dragon's head. Roar! The black dragon also roared. Its scarlet eyes glowed brightly. In the next instant, a black arc of lightning jumped up and rushed out, hitting the magic formation in front of the dragon's mouth. Bang! With a crisp cracking sound, the black lightning struck the overlapping magic array without any hindrance. Suddenly, the magic array set up by the dragon was shattered as easily as breaking a piece of rotten wood. Moreover, it was the space around it. The black dragon's lightning could shatter space. Without space, there was no way for things to exist. It was the same for magic formations and magic power. Therefore, when space was shattered, the magic formation and magic power that existed in the space would be destroyed along with the space. The dragon's breath magic could not be used. However, space had the ability to automatically repair itself. Therefore, in just a short moment, the shattered space was once again restored to its perfect state. Roar! Not letting go of this opportunity, the dragon once again gathered magic power and set up a magic formation to spit out dragon's breath. Seeing this, Wu Yan's expression showed that he was in trouble. He couldn't damage AI Ku's body, and even if he attacked, it would have no effect on Mordred. How was he supposed to fight? Was he supposed to keep defending? I have to drive Mordred out of AI Ku's body. Wu Yan narrowed his eyes and looked at the opposite side. With his eyes closed, Yashur was buried in the dragon's body with his upper body and one of his hands exposed. Black dragon! Roar! The black dragon's eyes narrowed. It raised its head and directly rammed into the dragon's head. Bang! With a muffled sound, the dragon's mouth was closed and the dragon's breath attack was broken. At this time, above the black dragon's head, an afterimage flashed in the air. It flew to the dragon's head and stopped in front of Yashur. Then, a hand gently rested on Yashur's head. Chapter 1408. This place is a very peculiar space. This space is a piece of chaos. There is nothing here. There is no scenery. There's only a piece of space that is as bright as honey. In this space, from time to time, some ripples will appear in the bright chaos. It is like a lake that has water droplets. It is very beautiful. Unfortunately, the scene at the center of the space had mercilessly shattered this beautiful scene. If one looks carefully, one can see that there's a battle taking place in the center of this space. A pitch-black substance occupies a piece of land under the bright space. It is like polluted water in the corner of a clear lake. There are 9 evil eyes on top of it. It is fluctuating with an evil aura. At this time, in this pitch-black substance, there is a flesh-colored tentacle extending from it. It is like a whip. It is whizzing through the entire space. It is constantly lashing out in a certain direction. There's an extremely flirtatious girl in that direction. She is tall and slender and very voluptuous. Instead of calling her a girl, it is better to call her an elegant, noble lady. Looking at her makes one's heart itch. Her waist-length pink hair has a bright red luster, as if it is showing its owner's passion. White as snow skin, ruby-like eyes. There's a pair of dragon horns on her head, but they are not round like Ai Kuz, nor are they like the antlers of the mother of dragons. They're more similar to the horns of a normal dragon, sharp and angular. As for the girl's appearance, those who know Ai Ku will be able to recognize her, because compared to Ai Ku, the girl's appearance is very similar. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are exactly the same. However, compared to Ai Ku, the girl's appearance is undoubtedly a lot more mature and also a lot more flirtatious. Just like Ai Ku after she's grown up, she also has a graceful temperament around her. This proves that the girl's cultivation is very different from the unreasonable Ai Ku. However, this mature and flirtatious girl is currently in a very sorry state. Her hair is not disheveled, but it is a bit messy. The dress covering her body is tattered. The degree of exposure was extremely high, as if someone had forcefully pulled it apart. If someone saw it, their first thought would probably be that it was a young girl who had been forcefully violated by a man, and they would not be able to bear to look at it. However, the flirtatious girl had a leisurely smile on her face. She looked neither hurried nor slow, and the tentacles that were about to hit her would be blocked by a layer of water ripples that suddenly appeared. Even if some managed to slip through and wrap around the girl's body, they would be quickly shattered by a layer of invisible power. Come to think of it, the reason why the girl's clothes were in tatters should be because they were torn apart by the tentacles before they were shattered, right? On the ground, tentacles continuously shot out from the pitch-black substance with 9 eyes, attacking the young girl's body. However, they were either blocked or shattered, unable to do anything to the girl. This caused the evil aura emanating from the pitch-black substance to gradually thicken. Not long after, a coarse, muffled voice that sounded like an angry roar rang out from the pitch-black substance. Why don't you fuse with me? Nabi. Oh. The flirtatious girl named Nabi chuckled. Why should I fuse with you? Aren't you the incarnation of a dragon seed memory that was born to fuse with a dragon king? Was it to bestow upon him supreme wisdom and allow him to obtain true power? The coarse voice was filled with anger. The Avalan Holy Dragon Royal Family and the Nihilenia Abyssal Dragon Royal Family are both royal bloodlines of the dragon race. Both were originally split from the Sage Dragon King Inpok's bloodline. Strictly speaking, they share the same origin. In terms of qualifications to fuse with you, as a descendant of the Nihilenia Abyssal Dragon Royal Family, I should be qualified as well, no? Who would want to fuse with something as disgusting as you? The one who spoke wasn't the incarnation of a dragon seed memory called Nabi. Instead, it was a coarse voice that came from above the bright, chaotic space. It was Yak's voice. Taking a closer look, 2 large bird cages were hanging above the chaotic space, and 2 people were locked inside. One of them was Yak, the other was Yashur. You took someone else's body without permission, and now you want to fuse with someone else. Your personality is terrible. Yak didn't hide her disgust at all. Open this damn bird cage if you know what's good for you. Who do you think you're locking up as a bird? Shut up, Avalon's Empress. Mordred roared angrily. I don't have much time to waste on you. Nabi. Yashur gripped the iron bars of the birdcage tightly and gritted his teeth. Don't admit defeat. Don't worry. Even though she was in tatters, Nabi still smiled calmly. I might not be able to do anything outside, but this is my territory. I won't give in so easily. Damn vixen. Mordred spat in anger. Why do you have to reject me? Indeed, as the last descendant of the Nihilenia Abyssal Dragon King, you have the right to fuse with me. I can't deny that. Nabi smiled faintly. However, I'm sorry, but I've already decided to fuse with Princess of Avalon. You. Mordred was mad with rage. What's so attractive about those little kids who haven't even grown hair yet? Who are you calling a kid who hasn't even grown hair yet? Yak was furious, but what made her even angrier was that Nabi actually agreed to it. Yak is indeed an immature brat. She doesn't attract me. Nabi shrugged. Unfortunately, compared to her, I don't like Nihilenia, who only knows how to play with her tentacles. What did you say? Even though I was born to fuse with either Avalon or Neharrania to give them true power, it's my right to choose who I want to fuse with. Nabi said as if she was adding oil to the fire. That's why I chose Avalon. You should give up. I won't give up. Mordred's furious roar echoed. I want to defeat Avalon. I want to rule the entire dragon race. I want to stand at the peak of the dragon race. I want to defeat that black dragon and that white dragon outside. Don't even think about making me give up. After saying that, Mordred once again controlled countless disgusting tentacles, like a giant python that had found its prey and attacked Nabi. How annoying! Nabi frowned. Her displeased voice echoed in the chaos space. In the next moment, the battle between the two of them continued. Nabi! Yashu slapped the cage in regret. Damn it, can't I help at all? Why can that guy move freely in here, but I can't? Aiko also shouted in annoyance. I'm a dragon princess too, but your body has been taken over. Yashu scratched his head in annoyance. Yak, can you give me the paladin armor? This dragon dispatching workshop isn't a real space. It's a spiritual space. Aiko sighed, a little frustrated. That's why I can't make the paladin armor here, unless Nabi agrees. But now, she can't even take care of herself. How can I make the paladin armor for you? Is there no other way? Yasha lowered his head, unwilling to give up. At least let me help a little. Speaking of which, isn't it because you were also schemed against by that fellow? Yak rolled her eyes at Yashio. If you were still outside, you might have been able to stop me from going berserk. I can't do anything. Yasha's expression turned bitter. It's Yasha's fault for being careless. He was with Yak and could have gotten the paladin armor at any time. But because he thought he was safe in Fantion City, he didn't pay attention to his surroundings. Not only was he kidnapped, but he also ended up like this. If Nabi was taken down by Mordred and forced to fuse with her, not only would Nabi disappear, but Yak would also be killed. When that happened, Yashur could only muddle along as a star essence maker and live out the rest of his life. That's worse than hell. Damn it. Yashu slammed the cage. Can someone help us? As soon as he said that, a giggling voice entered everyone's ears. Young man, do you need help? Chapter 1409. Young man, do you need help? An ethereal voice with a hint of mockery echoed clearly in the chaotic space and entered everyone's ears. That voice, which definitely belonged to the impossible fifth person, caused Yashur and Yak to be stunned. It also caused Nabi and Mordred to stop attacking and defending on the spot. This was the Dragon Workshop, a spiritual space created by the great holy dragons of the primordial dragon clan. It was used to allow the spiritual bodies of dragons to enter and create products. It was the place to create holy knight armors. Therefore, this was Nabi's territory. Nabi was the embodiment of the dragon species' memory. It was the knowledge accumulated by the dragon clan over tens of thousands of years. The dragon clan stored the accumulated knowledge in the dragon workshop. As the embodiment of the dragon species' memory, Nabi was the master of this place. Generally speaking, only dragons could enter the dragon workshop. If Nabi invited an outsider, she could also pull their spiritual bodies into the dragon workshop. However, this was not a situation where the fifth one could appear. The Avalon Holy Dragon Royal Family and the Nihilenia Abyssal Dragon Royal Family were engaged in a fateful battle. Mordred was fighting for the embodiment of the dragon species' memory in an attempt to obtain the true power of the Abyssal Dragon King. Under such circumstances, the Dragon Workshop became a battlefield between the two Dragon Kings. No other Dragon Clan members were allowed to interfere. Yashu was able to appear here because he had become a part of Yak's body. Therefore, he was able to witness the battle with his own eyes. However, other than him, it was impossible for any other existence to enter this spiritual space. Did Nabi invite them in? Impossible. Nabi was having a hard time protecting herself. It was useless to invite others in. In this spiritual space, no matter how strong a person was in the real world, they would not be able to defeat the spiritual bodies of the Dragon Clan in this territory that belonged to the Dragon Clan. The other Dragon Clan members were unable to enter the Dragon Workshop due to the battle between the kings. Even if they entered, they would not be able to defeat the King Mordred. Logically speaking, the fifth one should not appear in the Dragon Workshop. It was a pity. His calculations were flawless. However, in this world, an anomaly appeared. I didn't expect that I would be locked up in a birdcage one day. Bang! As the fifth person who suddenly intervened spoke, Yashur's birdcage made a cracking sound. It suddenly cracked open, and then with a crisp cracking sound, it shattered with a loud bang. Wow! As soon as the birdcage shattered, Yashur, who was hanging in the air, also fell down. He let out a blood-curdling scream, but a hand reached out in time and grabbed his collar. You even know how to scream so loudly. Looks like there's nothing else. Phew! Yashu raised his head in fear and looked at the person who grabbed his collar. Then, a playful smile and a pair of wine-red eyes appeared in front of Yashu's eyes. Yashio cried out in surprise. Roland, you really know how to give people trouble. Wu Yin went against common sense and floated in the air, rolling his eyes at Yashio. Do you know that the outside world is turning upside down because of you? Yashur opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but the others also reacted. It's you. Nabi and Yak were both surprised. Why are you here? Mordred was startled as well. However, Wu Yin ignored him and glanced at him. Then, he looked at Yak and waved his hand. Bang! The birdcage that Yak was trapped in seemed to have been hit by something as it shattered into pieces. It was only then that Nabi and Mordred realized what had happened. Yak and Yashur were locked in the birdcage because Yak's body was occupied by Mordred. Yashur, who was one with Yak, was also implicated. Both of them were sealed by Mordred at the same time. Now, the birdcage was shattered. This meant that Wu Yin broke the seal that Mordred placed on them with brute force. Was this something a human could do? Mordred's voice trembled. Her angry roar echoed in the entire dragon dispatching workshop. Who are you? Hearing this, Wu Yin, who was holding Yak with one hand and grabbing Yashur's collar with the other, grinned and raised his eyebrows. Take a guess. Damn it. Mordred was furious. Swish, swish. A series of sharp whistling sounds broke through the air without any warning, stirring up waves of airflow. The dark red tentacles that could cover the entire dragon dispatching workshop were like wildly dancing vines as they whipped towards Wu Yin with whistling sounds and broken whip shadows. However, before the whips could reach Wu Yin, a beautiful figure suddenly appeared in front of Wu Yin. With a wave of her slender arm, a ripple suddenly spread out in the space and swept through the dark red tentacles. Bang! Immediately, the countless tentacles seemed to have been sliced countless times by an invisible blade. They broke into pieces of meat and fell to the ground. It's rare that I have a guest here. Can you not treat him so roughly? Looking at Wu Yin, maybe he didn't hide the curiosity in her eyes. I'm curious as to why he's here. I invaded Yashur's consciousness and followed it to this place. Wu Yin didn't hide it and tossed Yak and Yashur to Nabi. As for how I invaded Yashur's consciousness, don't ask. Telling you will only add to your troubles. Although he didn't know who this flirtatious girl who looked so similar to Yak was, or where this place was, Wu Yin could still tell that this was a mental space. Originally, he only wanted to use a mental magic to wake Yashur up. If possible, he even wanted to wake Yak up and force Mordred to retreat. Who would have thought that when Wu Yin used his mana to invade Yashure's consciousness, he was pulled to this place before he could wake Yashure up. However, the situation didn't seem to have changed. Since this is a mental space, Yak and Yashure should be able to wake up in the real world after Mordred is forced out of this mental space. They should be able to resist Mordred, right? Wu Yin looked down at the pitch-black substance that was roaring on the ground like sewage. Back when you were still Makawos, you said you'd wait until the next greater feast before you and I duel again. Wu Yin's expression slowly turned indifferent. Mordred, don't you think this is the right time? Rune? Randall. Mordred growled as she waved her tentacles. Do you think that you can defeat me in the Dragon Dispatching Workshop? Dragon Workshop? Wu Yin looked around at the bright, chaotic space. Is that the name of this mental space? That's right. Mordred sneered. In here, all the standards of the real world cannot be brought in. In here, the stronger the spiritual body, the stronger the power. You, a human, indeed surprised me by being able to break my seal. However, can your spiritual power surpass that of the Dragon Clan? Dragons had magical power. Among the spells they controlled, there were many mental spells. With the support of mana and the training of magic, as well as the various advantages that dragons had over humans, it wasn't without reason that Mordred dared to make such a boastful claim. However, Mordred was wrong again. Magical power? Who could defeat Wu Yin now? Magic? Wu Yin has 103,000 grimoires. How could he lack magic and magic? So, would Wu Yin's mental power be weak? The answer, of course, was no. In the next instant, the world trembled as a vast and invisible force descended from the sky, enveloping Mordred without any explanation. Wah! Mordred didn't even have time to be shocked before the force slammed into her. With a blood-curdling scream, Mordred disappeared from this world as if she had been ostracized. Let's go out too. Wu Yin grabbed Yak and Yashure and disappeared in a flash. Looking at the Dragon Dispatching Workshop that was bustling with noise and excitement a second ago, Nabi was at a loss. Chapter 14:10. Yuwa. Yeshu fiercely opened his eyes and gasped for air. His body was already drenched in sweat. Yeshu's eyes were wide open and he was gasping for air. When he woke up, Yeshu noticed his current situation. Not only was his body completely naked, his entire lower body and one of his arms were buried in a ball of soft flesh, as if he was buried in a swamp. It was hard to tell whether it was comfortable or uncomfortable, but Yaksu could clearly feel that his left hand, which was covered with snake-like ferocious star carvings, was currently in a heart-wrenching pain. Are you awake? Wu Yin retracted his hand and shouted at Yeshu. Don't be in a daze. Stop daydreaming. Yak should have woken up by now. You need to fuse with Yak's as a rider and expel Mordred from Yak's body. Oh. Yashure was suddenly startled and hurriedly closed his eyes. The will belonging to the rider was like an old tree that had taken root. It followed the pitch-black dragon below him and fiercely stabbed downwards. Roar! The black dragon that was still wrestling with the black dragon lightning trap suddenly let out an earth-shattering roar. Its voice was filled with pain. Roar! Roar! As it howled in pain, the black dragon began to struggle. However, its body was tightly gripped by the black dragon's lightning trap. It couldn't break free at all. Damn it! Mordred's pained cries rang out from within the black dragon's body. No! I can't possibly lose. I spent so much effort to find the awakening apparatus and trick Klaus into becoming my supporter. I spent so much effort to finally reach this stage. How could I possibly lose? I must say, you did spend a lot of effort. Wu Yin knelt on one knee and pressed his star carvings hand on the black dragon's head. He closed his eyes. Unfortunately, in your eyes, your enemies have always only been Yak, the last descendant of the Avalon Holy Dragon royal family, and Yak's master, Yashu. You've never put anyone else in your eyes, so you've never thought that in this world. You never thought that there would be someone else who could suppress you, the Dragon King. This is where you failed. Wu Yin mobilized the magic power in the star carvings. A dazzling white light suddenly flashed, illuminating the sky above Fanteon City like the sun at dawn. A pure divine power invaded the body of the black dragon. It attacked a certain dark spiritual entity in its body. It was the purification power of the angel's holiness, Knes Natsuan. Dong! Oh! Mordred howled in agony as a dull thud echoed in her mind. Now! Yashu abruptly opened his eyes. At the same time, Yak's furious roar resounded from the pitch-black dragon's body. Get out of my body! A blinding light surged out of the black dragon's body and merged with the purification light of the angel's holiness. It flashed in every corner of Fanteon City. In Fanteon City, every citizen couldn't help but close their eyes and reach out to block the strong light that was strong enough to hurt their eyes. Not long after, in the center of the strong light, a cloud of black mist jumped out pathetically as if it had been filtered out. Under the illumination of the white light, it let out a series of screams and turned into a shocking black light. It shot toward the edge of the sky and disappeared from this world. Thus, under the blinding white light, the pitch-black dragon's body gradually underwent changes. The black fur that looked like it was contaminated was washed away bit by bit. The black color faded away. The demon-like twisted horns slowly turned back into a sharp right angle. A horn similar to that of a unicorn grew out from the center of the dragon's head, between the other two dragon horns. The two pairs of crow-like wings also recovered, becoming as pure and holy as an angel. Then, the 9 beastly eyes also disappeared. They were replaced by a pair of clear red eyes. Roar, 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 roar. The surrounding holy dragons roared in joy, celebrating the return of the sacred dragon emperor. They circled in a circle and bowed again. Unfortunately, the dragon's ridiculously large body slowly turned into light particles, disappearing into the gradually dimming white light. A petite girl with long pink hair and a young man appeared from the dragon's heart. They closed their eyes tightly and fell down. Wu Yin rode the black dragon lightning trap and arrived below Yak and Yashur. He caught them with each hand. Wu Yin shook his head with a smile as he looked at the unconscious Yak and Yashur. They really know how to give people trouble. Although that was what he said, Wu Yin showed a joyful smile on his face. He raised one of his hands and slowly spread it open. In the palm of his open hand, a drop of dark red blood floated in the air. It moved up and down like a red gem, very dazzling. Awakening blood of the Avalon Saint Dragon Emperor, special item. Extracted from the last descendant of the Avalon Saint Dragon Emperor when he enters the state of awakening. The blood contains special power. Due to the extraction by the system, it has magical effects. If consumed by a vampire who relies on blood as their foundation, it can strengthen the vampire's ability. If consumed by a vampire's true ancestor, it can increase the level of the vampire by 1 level. Note, due to the extraction by the system, it can only be effective if consumed by the system's user. The effective range is before level 90. When the user reaches level 89, consuming it will be ineffective. Ding! Dungeon Quest 3 completed. Obtained 50,000 equipment points, item points, ability points, and summoning points. Dungeon World. Star Carvings Dragon Knight. Dungeon Quest. Acquire. Mission 1. Enter Tokisakigami's Red Jade mode and use the ability of the angel, Zafkiel, to use the Bullet of 12, YOD. When the Mother of Dragons placed the last descendant of the Avalon Holy Dragon royal family in the Abine Forest, she would obtain a drop of the first blood of the last descendant of the Avalon Holy Dragon royal family before he was born and placed in the Abine Forest. Quest reward: 10,000 equipment points, item points, ability points, and summoning points completed. Quest 2. Obtain a drop of infant blood of the last descendant of the Avalon Saint Dragon royal family. Quest reward: 30,000 equipment points, item points, ability points, and summoning points completed. Quest 3. Obtain a drop of awakening blood of the last descendant of the Avalon Saint Dragon royal family. Quest reward: 50,000 equipment points, item points, ability points, and summoning points completed. Character, Wu Yin equipment points, 111100 item points, 230000 ability points, 101000 summoning points, 131000 level, 85. Ding! All dungeon quests have been completed. User can now choose to leave the current dungeon world at any time. This dungeon world is now open to user. When user re-enters the world of Star-Carved Dragon Knight, the system will no longer issue any dungeon quests. User can now freely enter and exit the world of Star-Carved Dragon Knight. While AI Ku was still in her human form, Wu Yin took the opportunity to obtain a drop of blood from her. He successfully obtained a drop of awakening blood of the Avalon Saint Dragon royal family and completed his third dungeon quest. At this point, Wu Yin completed all 3 dungeon quests in Star-Carved Dragon Knight. Not only did he obtain 90,000 points, he also obtained a special item that can raise his level all the way to the pinnacle of Tier 9. One could say that Wu Yin returned from this dungeon world with a bountiful harvest. Looking up, Wu Yin saw the rising sun piercing through the night sky. He could almost see the silhouettes of young girls in it. Chuju, Makoto, Ikaros, Yukari, Shokuho Kasumi, Flandrachan, Astria, Kotori, Kurumi, Toka, Yashitsun, Yushin, Meijio, Origami, Kinuha Tesai, Frenda, Takitsubu Riku, Asuna, Yui, Natsuki, Kanon, Nagisa, and Agurola, who turned into familiars. The girls who were tied to Wu Yin's fate are all smiling at Wu Yin, silently telling him how much they missed him. I want to go back. Holding the drop of awakening blood of the Avalon Saint Dragon royal family tightly, Wu Yin exhaled and rode the black dragon back to Fantion City. Chapter 1411. The night that made the people of Fantion City and the important figures of the various top forces in a Luxtran tremble in fear finally passed without any mishaps. Although Yak was forced to awaken this time, and her body was almost taken away in Fantion City, putting humans in a dangerous situation, the end result was very fortunate. Not a single person was injured, and not a single brick of the building was destroyed. The entire Fantion City was intact, and there were no accidents. If one were to say what effect Yak's forced awakening had, it was probably that it made the people of Fantion City panic, and also made the various top forces tremble in fear. The roaring dragon under the night sky, whose body was even larger than the airship, was deeply engraved in the hearts of all the witnesses. During the entire chaotic night, other than the Cypheros Empire's airship being crushed by the awakened Yak, there were no other losses. So, it was said to be a close call. Of course, for the Cypheros Empire, this was definitely not a good thing. The Lorraine Kingdom of Knights was in perfect condition. All the major forces were in perfect condition. The buildings were in perfect condition. The Kingdom of Knights was also in perfect condition. Even the holy dragons had returned to their places and reconnected with their owners. Everything was in perfect condition. However, the Cypheros Empire had lost an airship. That was an airship, not some luxurious ship. Losing an airship like that was not a huge blow to the Cypheros Empire, but it was definitely not a small blow either. Moreover, everyone else was safe and sound, and only the Cypheros Empire was in trouble. How could the Cypheros Empire be willing to accept this? Originally, Klaus wanted to put all the blame for the loss of the airship on the Knighthood Empire and exaggerate the impact to make the entire Knighthood Empire take responsibility. After all, the Cypheros Empire's airship was destroyed by all the dragons of the Lormon Knighthood Empire, wasn't it? It was a pity that Klaus's wishful thinking did not come to fruition. That day, Wu Yin stood up and used the reason that the dragon appeared from the Cypheros Empire's airship last night as a reason to forcefully pull all the representatives present as witnesses and borrow a team from Veronica. Head to the location of the destroyed airships of the Cypheros Empire and collect the fragments of the instruments left behind. Although the device was a magic device, the other factions also had their own magic device experts. After a period of research and investigation, The device was able to forcefully evolve a dragon into a holy dragon and awaken Yak. In addition, Yak and Yaksu had appeared to testify. The arrested Anya, who was originally a member of the Cypheros Empire, also came forward to testify. As a result, the actions of the Cypheros Empire were completely exposed. In the end, not only did the knighthood of Lorea not have to take any responsibility, they even bit back at the Cypheros Empire, causing the Cypheros Empire to take away the national treasure of the knighthood and research it without permission. The crime of causing the giant dragon to go berserk and almost cause danger. Veronica personally ran to Wu Yan's room and told him that this time, they must make the Cypheros Empire bleed fiercely. Of course, regardless of whether the Cypheros Empire bleed or not, the representatives of the various factions were no longer in the mood to hold the Continental Conference. After the incident ended, the Continental Conference that was originally planned to be held in Fanteon City was also cancelled. The organizer, the current Pope of the Espadar Cathedral, Lazor IV, officially announced the cancellation of the Continental Conference on the same day. Thus, the various factions expressed that they would continue to follow up on last night's incident, and then they all left on their airships. Klaus also took a carriage back to the Cypheros Empire with a gloomy face. It was believed that the Cypheros Empire would be forced to write a lot of documents on diplomatic issues. Just like Veronica said, they would bleed fiercely. However, the situation of the knighthood of Lorea was not very good either. The giant dragon that night was obviously not an ordinary dragon. Just its strength alone was not something an ordinary dragon could possess. The knighthood had never made it public that they had such a dragon. It was inevitable that some people would suspect that the knighthood had ulterior motives and was planning to hide their trump cards to do something ambitious. Because of this, Yak's identity as a dragon princess could no longer be hidden. It was likely that the various factions would soon know about it. And how should they deal with Yak, the princess of the Avalon Holy Dragon royal family? That was also a diplomatic issue. Only Veronica and the other important figures of the knighthood could have a headache over it. Apart from that, there were also various other problems. The first prince of the knighthood of Lorea, Julius, the fact that Loriaman didn't die and that it had something to do with the entire incident. The problem of Mordred, who had turned back into a spirit and escaped to who knows where. Also, the problem of the final battle between the Avalon Holy Dragon royal family and the Nihilenia Underworld Dragon royal family. There were also many problems that the knighthood of Lorea, Yashu, and Yak had to face and solve. Under these circumstances, the problem of why Wu Yin was able to control the Black Dragon's lightning trap and the White Dragon's burning flame was put aside for the time being. Normal dragon cultivators could only contract with one dragon. That was the most basic of common sense. It wasn't that no one had ever thought of contracting two dragons, but it was absolutely unrealistic. This was because the amount of star essence in a dragon cultivator's body could at most keep one dragon alive. If there was an extra dragon, then not only would the two dragons not be able to get enough star essence, even the dragon cultivator himself might fall into a predicament of lacking star essence. Because of that, a dragon cultivator could at most contract with one dragon. Even if they wanted to contract with another dragon, the dragon mother would not agree. Wu Yin, on the other hand, broke the norm by controlling two dragons at once. Not only that, but why was his Boer able to survive in his body was also a mystery. Also, the terrifying power of the white flame and black lightning. All of these mysteries made Wu Yin, whose identity and background were also a mystery, the most mysterious person in the eyes of everyone. This mystery was only known to those from chivalry for now, but Wu Yan's active performance last night had already made him known to the leaders of the other factions. Before long, Wu Yan should be able to truly make a name for himself in Eluxtran, right? Now, this soon-to-be famous person was hiding in his room in Fanteon City. Sitting on the bed, Wu Yan closed his eyes tightly. Mana currents surged around his body like a tide about to go berserk, but they brought unimaginable pressure to the surroundings. Specks of starlight silently rolled around Wu Yan's body. There wasn't a lot, But it wasn't a small amount either. Upon closer inspection, the star carving on the back of Wu Yan's hand had already disappeared, proving that he'd undone his seal. This wasn't all that surprising. Even with his powers sealed, Wu Yan would find time to undo the seal every day when he was alone to cultivate his mana. The process of cultivating mana was extremely boring, and Wu Yan wasn't a patient person, but he liked the feeling of slowly growing stronger. That was why Wu Yan would cultivate his mana every day. He could feel the mana in his body growing bit by bit, experiencing the feeling of growing stronger. He felt very satisfied. That was why Wu Yan could persevere through the boring process of cultivation. Otherwise, with his lazy personality, he'd rather spend more time studying the magic tricks and spells in the 103,000 grimoires. He slowly gathered the insignificant increase in mana and added it to his own. Sensing the obvious increase in mana, Wu Yan slowly withdrew his mana and let the surging mana currents around him calm down. Phew! Exhaling, he slowly opened his eyes. Imperceptible traces of golden light flashed through his wine-red pupils, making his pupils seem even more profound. After a while, they dimmed and returned to normal. And then, stretching lazily, Wu Yan ended today's training session. Normally, Wu Yan would just lie down and take a nap at this time. Or maybe he would go out for a walk and flirt with the maids in Finchon City. But today, Wu Yan didn't do that. After stretching, Wu Yan flipped his hand. In his palm, a few drops of dark red blood moved up and down. It was the original blood of the Avalon Saint Dragon Emperor. Chapter 14:12. 4 drops of the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor floated above his palm, rising and falling rhythmically, exuding a brilliant gem-like brilliance. It was extremely beautiful. Whether it was the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor, infant blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor, or awakening blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor, they could only raise Wu Yan to the peak of rank 9, stopping at the threshold of demigod rank. Now, Wu Yan had a total of 5 drops of the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor, 1 drop of infant blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor, and 1 drop of awakening blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor. However, he was already level 85, and taking them after level 89 would no longer have any effect. Therefore, Wu Yan could only take 4 drops. These 4 drops of the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor would raise Wu Yan's level to 89, reaching the peak of rank 9. Thinking of this, Wu Yan's heart heated up, and he took a few deep breaths to suppress it, allowing his emotions to return to a state of tranquility. Then, Wu Yan raised his head and swallowed the 4 drops of the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor. Boom! The 4 drops of the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor slid down Wu Yan's throat at an extremely fast speed, all the way down and into his body. Before Wu Yan could react, the 4 drops of the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor immediately turned into a powerful energy, like a rushing river, rolling down his throat, wandering around a few times and entering his blood. The moment the 4 powerful energies entered his blood, the blood in Wu Yan's body also began to riot. Wu Yan's face paled, then turned red. His body trembled uncomfortably, and his blood vessels also swelled. The blood and the energy from the 4 drops of the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor ran amok in his blood vessels, causing Wu Yan a strange pain. Wu Yan did not expect that swallowing the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor would cause such a change, and could only grit his teeth and bear it. Immediately, in his blood vessels, surging waves of energy surged through his blood vessels, colliding fiercely with the rampaging blood. Dong! A collision sound that only Wu Yan could hear rang out, causing Wu Yan to groan, and his face flushed red. Inside Wu Yan's body, his blood and the 4 types of energy intertwined with each other, releasing invisible waves of energy. It turned into ripples and reverberated. In blood of the Holy Dragon Emperor's body. Like a hungry wolf who knows how long, scrambling to snatch the ripples of blood of the blood holy dragon emperor to absorb them, one of the blood of the holy dragon emperor god. Every time this happened, Wu Yin could feel it. I seem to be a little stronger. Wu Yin's spirit was lifted, and he seriously looked inside his body. The 4 drops of energy in his blood vessels seemed to have blended with his blood, directly fusing together, and flowed with his blood. Along with this process, waves of invisible waves frequently turned into a invisible ripple, separated from his blood, and swept in all directions in his body. It was constantly absorbed by every part of Wu Yan's body, strengthening him. Body, blood, magic, organs, everything in Wu Yan's body was absorbing this invisible ripple and devouring it, turning it into a catalyst to strengthen himself. This feeling of being able to strengthen everything, Wu Yan had only experienced it in the magical pool water from the land of gods. He did not expect it to be this time. He actually experienced it again. However, compared to the magical pool water, the effect of the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor was still a little different. What was the difference? The difference was that the magical pool water strengthened and purified everything in the human body on average. On the other hand, the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor gave priority to strengthening the blood and then the other parts. As a result, the blood was strengthened the most, and the other parts were a little less. If the magical pool water strengthened the blood and the other parts at a ratio of 5, then the strengthening ratio of the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor was 7:3. However, not only did this not affect Wu Yan's improvement, but it was even better. As a vampire true ancestor, Wu Yan's greatest advantage was naturally his blood. The power of vampires came from their own blood, and true ancestors relied on their own blood the most. After being strengthened by the original blood of the Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor, the magic in Wu Yan's body was increasing at an unimaginable speed. Moreover, it wasn't a mindless increase. Instead, it was an improvement in the quality of the mana, and when the quality of the mana was at its purest, it would increase the quantity. The quality of the magic had increased, and Wu Yan's strength was also increasing rapidly. Not long after, the system notification sounded in Wu Yan's mind. Ding! Congratulations to the user for leveling up. Current level, 86. Ding! Congratulations to the user for leveling up. Current level, 87. Ding! Congratulations to the user for leveling up. Current level, 88. Ding! Congratulations to the user for leveling up. Current level, 89. As expected, 4 system notifications sounded in succession, and Wu Yan's level was instantly raised to level 89, the pinnacle of Tier 9. At this point, Wu Yan had finally reached the threshold of the demigod rank. He was only one step away from becoming a demigod who could definitely be called a powerhouse, whether in the main world or the dungeon world. However, this small step was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Especially for people like Wu Yan who used the system to earn EXP to level up, it was extremely difficult. After all, at this stage, there was no existence that could provide them with a huge amount of EXP. If they wanted to level up, they had to be down to earth and defeat enemies one by one until they accumulated enough EXP to level up successfully. Leveling up was the most difficult thing to do, not to mention the demigod rank, which was the hardest to level up. However, just as this thought rose in Wu Yan's mind, a series of system notifications stunned Wu Yan. Beep. Detected that the user has reached level 89. Special quest, Path to Demigod activated. Special quest, Path to Demigod quest introduction. The process of becoming a demigod is extremely difficult. At this stage, simply earning EXP will no longer be enough to satisfy the user's needs. Due to the user's slow progress, when a user and his summoned character reach level 89, the system will open the door for them and provide them with guidance to become a demigod. When a user and his summoned character complete the quest according to the system's requirements, the system will generate an item to upgrade the user and his summoned character to the demigod rank. allowing the user and his summoned character to become a demigod instantly. Quest Introduction. The special quest Path to Demigod is a chain quest. Every chain quest will be carried out in a dungeon world, one world per chain. The content of the quest is to collect certain items. These items are the materials required to upgrade the item to the demigod rank. When a user has collected all the required materials in the dungeon world, the quest will be announced as completed. Things to note in the quest. 1. When a user completes the first chain quest, the system will generate an item to upgrade the user to the demigod rank. 2. If the user does not choose to generate an item to upgrade the user to the demigod rank after completing the first chain quest, the second chain quest will be activated. 3. Starting from the second chain quest, the items required to be collected will be able to strengthen the effect of the item to the demigod rank. The more chains the user completes, the stronger the effect of the item to the demigod rank will be. After a certain extent, the item will be able to increase the user's level again before reaching the demigod rank. 4. No matter how many chains the user completes, the final item will only be able to upgrade the user to level 99 at most. After the item is able to upgrade the user to level 99, the effect of the item will not increase anymore. 5. When a user chooses to complete the Path to Demigod mission, the system will automatically allow the user to enter the dungeon world where the items required to be collected are. The dungeon world where the user completes the Path to Demigod mission will not activate the dungeon world. The user will only be able to leave the current dungeon world after completing the Path to Demigod mission. 6. Some special dungeon worlds will add some restrictions to the user to increase the difficulty of the Path to Demigod mission. 7. The user can only bring along 2 summoned characters to participate in the Path to Demigod mission in each chain quest. More than 2 summoned characters will not be able to enter the dungeon world. B. Do you wish to proceed with the special quest Path to Demigod? Chapter 14:13. Beep. Do you wish to proceed with the special mission Demigod Path? Following the notification, the system list popped up without any warning and opened up in front of Wu Yin. Wu Yin subconsciously shifted his gaze to the system list. What he saw was a 4th option at the bottom of the system list that originally had 3 options: status, exchange, and instance. Demigod Path. There's really a shortcut to becoming a demigod? Wu Yin didn't know if he should be happy or surprised. Originally, he had already mentally prepared himself for a long war. He had planned to transform into a battle maniac and challenge the strongest in the main world. He had even activated Violet's Red Jade mode to challenge the other 5 demigods. Otherwise, he would have gone to some of the more advanced dungeons and slaughtered his way through them. However, Wu Yin knew that it wasn't easy to become a demigod. Otherwise, he wouldn't have boasted to Sylph that he would become a demigod in 5 years. With the system's help, Wu Yin felt that he wouldn't be able to become a demigod in less than 5 years. One can imagine how difficult it is to become a demigod. There are only 5 demigods in the entire Spalier world. Among the demigods he encountered in the dungeons, Violet was the only one he could summon. It's easy to imagine how difficult it is to become a demigod. However, it's different now. As long as he completes the first round of the Demigod Path mission, Wu Yin will be able to obtain the item to become a demigod. This was much faster than honestly challenging each and every one of the experts. Wu Yin stared blankly at the last option in the system list. After a long time, he finally managed to squeeze out a thought. System, you really are a good person. With that thought in mind, Wu Yin clicked on the Demigod Path option. The list changed immediately. Wu Yan's mind just now was filled with the mission description and the things to take note of. Beep. Do you wish to proceed with the special mission Demigod Path? Wu Yin hesitated for a bit when he heard the same notification for the second time. The 5th part of the mission description stated that when a user chooses to proceed with a mission, the system will automatically send the user to the dungeon world where the required items are. In other words, the moment Wu Yin chose to proceed with the mission, the system will pull him into the dungeon world. However, Wu Yin hasn't said goodbye to his friends here yet. Even though Wu Yin will leave this world, time will stop. The time in this world had also been frozen, but if he wanted to see these friends again, it would be impossible for him to do so in a short period of time. If he didn't say goodbye, he would feel a bit uncomfortable. Sylvia, Corset, and Luca, in particular, had a certain degree of intimate contact with him. No matter what he said, he couldn't just leave like that, right? There was also Rebecca. Even though the two of them were more like friends than lovers, the perfect student council president kissed Wu Yin at dusk after their date. Wu Yin's heart was moved. Even though it was just a kiss on the cheek, Wu Yin started to feel a bit vexed. After a long time, Wu Yin laughed self-deprecatingly. Seriously, what am I worrying about here? Anyway, time will be frozen after I leave this world. It shouldn't take much time to complete the first phase of the Demigod Path mission. I can just come back and gather after I complete the first phase of the mission. After completing the first part of the mission, he'll be able to generate the item to advance to demigod rank. At the very least, Wu Yin had to ensure that he completed the first part of the mission and obtained the ticket to advance to demigod rank. Thinking of this, Wu Yin didn't feel troubled anymore. He directly said in his heart, "System, proceed with the mission Demigod Path." As soon as he finished speaking, a mechanical voice that was as calm as an ancient well immediately responded. Beep. Special mission Demigod Path activated. Special mission Demigod Path mission round. First part mission world. Star Carvings Dragon Knight mission content. Obtain a drop of Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor's original blood, a drop of Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor's infant blood, and a drop of Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor's awakening blood. What? The mission content that appeared on the Demigod Path interface in the system list, and in his mind at the same time, stunned Wu Yin. A drop of Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor's original blood? A drop of Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor's infant blood? A drop of Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor's awakening blood? Weren't these the items that Wu Yin had left behind? Moreover, weren't the 3 dungeon missions in the Star Carving Dragon Knight dungeon world the items required for the first part of the mission of Demigod Path? Could it be the system had already calculated everything? Beep. A drop of Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor's original blood has been detected. Beep. A drop of Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor's infant blood has been detected. Beep. A drop of Avalon Holy Dragon Emperor's awakening blood has been detected. Beep. The first part of Demigod Path mission has been completed. Completed? Completed just like that? I can ascend to demigod? Even Wu Yin could not react at this time. Wasn't it difficult to ascend to demigod? Did I just get the chance to ascend to demigod like that? Beep. Do you want to create the item to ascend to demigod? However, the system's notification broke the surreal feeling in Wu Yan's heart and told Wu Yan everything was reality. This, although he had already obtained the qualifications to ascend to demigod, Wu Yan unexpectedly did not feel happy. At first, he was still worried about how difficult his demigod path would be. He was even prepared to fight for a long time and become a battle maniac. Then, the system gave him a demigod path mission. Just a second ago, he had decided to come back and reunite with his friends after completing the first part of the mission. Now, he had completed the first part of the demigod path mission. This made Wu Yin feel like he was full of energy and wanted to punch the enemy in front of him, but he ended up punching the air instead. He could not feel happy at all. However, this should be a good thing. Shaking his head with a bitter smile, Wu Yin looked at the system list in front of him and pondered for a while before putting it away. The first part of the demigod path mission had been completed. He only needed to think about it, and the item to ascend to demigod would appear in his hands. After using it, he would be able to ascend to demigod. However, Wu Yin was not satisfied with this. This was because he wanted to continue with the demigod path mission. Didn't the third point of the mission already say that? Starting from the second part of the mission required him to collect items that could enhance the effect of the item to demigod path. As long as Wu Yin completed more parts of the mission, the effect of the item to demigod path would be stronger. It would also allow him to level up before reaching demigod path. In this case, he might as well continue and enhance the effect of the item to the maximum before using it. The fourth point of the mission was that no matter how many parts of the mission the user completed, the item would only be able to enhance the user to level 99. After the item could enhance the user to level 99, the effect of the item would not increase anymore. In other words, Wu Yin wanted to enhance the effect of the item to the maximum. When he used it, he would be able to reach level 99 in one go. The pinnacle of demigod path. In this era without celestials, he was an invincible existence. Wu Yin had such an ambition. Or rather, after reading the description of the item in the demigod path mission, Wu Yin came up with this idea. After all, he was already at pinnacle tier 9. It would be difficult for him to find a worthy opponent, with his familiars who below demigod path could possibly be his match. Even if he faced a demigod path opponent, he still had the red jade mode. He could use Violet's power for a short period of time. With Violet's heaven-defying power, she would definitely be much stronger than he was after reaching demigod path. Since he had no opponents below demigod path and could use Violet's red jade mode to fight against demigod path opponents, he would be a fool not to seize this opportunity. At this thought, Wu Yan's blood boiled and the corners of his lips curled up. Pinnacle demigod path, huh? He could definitely achieve that. Chapter 14:14. Sunlight poured down from the clouds in the sky, causing Lancelot's fur to be dyed with a golden radiance. It was exceptionally resplendent. We've arrived at Ansari. Sylvia, who was sitting on the dragon's back, looked at the corner of the bustling city below and reminded the people behind her. Wu Yin, Yashur, and Yak, who were about to doze off, perked up and looked into the distance. Compared to Fantion City, the city was clearly inferior in terms of land area and prosperity. Wu Yin and the others smiled. Yashur and Yak let out sighs of relief. We're finally here. It had been about a week since Yak was forced to awaken and was almost possessed by Mordred, causing a ruckus in Fantion City. Now, the mysterious dragon's attack on the capital of Lorea's knighthood, Fantion City, which caused the Continental Conference to be suspended, had caused an uproar in the knighthood of Lorea's knighthood. It was still a hot topic that attracted everyone's attention. Even after a week or so, the impact of such a major incident didn't calm down. It was treated as an after-dinner conversation from time to time. No one would forget about it without a long period of time. During this time, Yashur and Yak, who were at the center of the incident, didn't have an easy time. Although the Cypheros Empire's actions against Yashur and Yak had been exposed, and Yak had successfully returned to her original state and the matter had been resolved, Yak's existence had been exposed. That was a fact. The princess of the Dragon Clan. An existence like that couldn't be casually ignored. Thus, it didn't take long for the various factions in Eluxtran to request the Knight's Kingdom to disclose all information about Yak, the Dragon Princess. Yashur also received attention. Under such circumstances, Yaksu and Yak were personally summoned by Veronica for an entire week. They were questioned and investigated day after day, causing the two of them to be deprived of their freedom to go out as they wished. Their lives were extremely oppressive. Fortunately, Wu Yin and Sylvia stayed behind and spent a week with them in Fantion City. Otherwise, the two of them would have long fallen ill from boredom. And today, Yashur and Yak's investigation finally came to an end, and they announced that they had regained their freedom. Thus, early in the morning, Yaksu and Yak couldn't wait to wake up Wu Yin and Sylvia. They rode Lancelot back to Ansari together. Under Lancelot's lead, the entire Ansari Dragon Riding Academy was exposed to everyone's eyes. After a week, the reconstruction of the academy had reached its final stage. Looking down from a sky above the academy, there were brand new buildings erected inside the wall-like academy. Under the sunlight, they shone with a bright luster, as if they had just been fished out of the water. It brought with it specks of light. The academy, which had been half destroyed, was finally restored to its original state. Lancelot. Under Sylvia's instructions, Lancelot tilted his body and landed on the academy's field dedicated to dragon riding. Although the reconstruction of the academy was in its final stage, the students of the Ansari Dragon Riding Academy had yet to resume their classes. Thus, there were many students loitering around the field. Lancelot dove down and landed on the field. The sharp-eyed students immediately noticed Lancelot's presence. "Hey, look, isn't that Her Highness Sylvia's Lancelot?" "That's right, it's Lancelot." "Does that mean Lord Roland and Her Highness Sylvia are back?" "It's true. I saw Lord Roland and Her Highness Sylvia." "Lord Roland and Her Highness Sylvia are back." Not long after, the commotion began to resound throughout the field and spread further and further, attracting even more people. Lancelot slowly landed on the field amidst the cheers and support of the students. At the same time, on the other side of the academy, two joyful dragon roars reverberated in the air, reaching the ears of everyone present. Accompanied by the dragon's roar, two black figures, one red and one white, shot through the air at an extremely fast speed and landed on the field without any explanation. Thump! Thump! Two heavy thuds were heard as they landed on the ground. The entire field shook slightly and kicked up a large cloud of dust. Only then did everyone clearly see the newcomers. Guilin, Gawain, Lebecca, and Luca, who were riding Guilin and Gawain respectively. President, Sylvia and Yashur hurriedly dismounted from Lancelot's back. Lebecca, Luca, Wu Yen smiled and jumped down from the dragon's back. Just as he was about to greet Lebecca and Luca, two longing roars came from Guilin and Gawain, interrupting Wu Yen. Before Wu Yen could react, Guilin and Gawain abandoned their masters and came to Wu Yan's side, rubbing their heads against him. "What's wrong with you two?" Wu Yen didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he saw the two holy dragons acting like they were wronged. He rubbed their heads. "You must have made Guilin and Gawain very anxious when you left." Lebecca walked up and said with a smile, "Their appetites have been fed by you. The food the dragons made couldn't satisfy them. Guilin and Gawain have been waiting for you for as long as you were gone. Now that you're back, of course they're overjoyed." Seriously, Wu Yen rolled his eyes. He knocked Guilin and Gawain on the head with his knuckles. "I just came back and you're already ordering me around? Can't you at least let me rest for a while?" Hearing this, even holy dragons like Guilin and Gawain lowered their heads in embarrassment, causing the crowd to burst into laughter. Lord Lune, Luca squeezed her small body between Guilin and Gawain and came to Wu Yan's side. "Welcome back, Lord Lune." Luca's crystal-like eyes stared straight at Wu Yan. There was also a hint of longing in her eyes. She went up to Wu Yan and handed him a teacup. "This is a spirit herb tea I personally brewed. It could dispel fatigue. Wu Yan looked at the steaming hot and fragrant tea in the teacup. "Luca, don't tell me you've been preparing this all this time?" Luca nodded shyly. "Because I was afraid Lord Lune would be too tired from the long journey." In other words, after Wu Yan left, Luca would brew a cup of tea almost every day for Wu Yan to dispel fatigue when he returned. However, tea wasn't wine. The longer it was kept, the better it was. Luca must have worked hard to prepare the ingredients for the tea every day and waited for Wu Yan to return. She would immediately brew a cup of hot tea for Wu Yan when he returned. All for the sake of dispelling fatigue for Wu Yan. As soon as he returned, she was truly a little demoness that made people love and feel sorry for her. "Thank you, Luca." Wu Yan patted Luca's head and took the teacup. "Then, I'll accept your kindness." Wu Yan drank the tea in one gulp. Ugh! Wu Yan's stomach started to heat up as soon as the tea entered his stomach. His body started to warm up as well. His sleepy head seemed to have been stimulated. He became awake, and his strength started to recover. Just as Lucas said, this tea can dispel fatigue. As always, the effect is amazing. Wu Yan couldn't help but praise. "This tea must be expensive, right? It can only dispel fatigue. The effect is good, but it's not as expensive as Lord Lune thought." Lucas smiled calmly. "In the Kingdom of Knights, you can buy it for around 100,000 eccles, 100,000 eccles." Yashu, who came from a poor family, was shocked. "That's not expensive?" Wu Yan laughed dryly. "If it can dispel fatigue in an instant, 100,000 eccles is worth it. The princess of the kingdom of knights said, as if it was a matter of fact. No matter what, I'm relieved to see all of you so energetic. Lebecca walked over and looked at everyone with a smile. Let's go to the dining hall. We'll talk while we eat. Chapter 14-15. In Sorry Dragon Academy, inside a cafeteria. This was a typical single-story building built with red bricks in the Ansari Dragon Academy. It was also a student cafeteria. This student cafeteria was only open to the Ansari Dragon Academy. It was specially designed to provide meals for the students of the Ansari Dragon Academy. Whether it was the dining table or the chairs, the various items and styles in the cafeteria were all designed in the same style of the Shepherd Kingdom, giving off an elegant and refined feeling. In the Ansari Dragon Academy, the upper-class students would usually only dine in the high-class cafeteria in the city. Those from poor families would choose the cheaper cafeteria below the student dormitory to fill their stomachs. Therefore, most of the students who dined in this cafeteria were from middle-class families. Today, the student council president, Lebecca, booked the entire cafeteria for Wu Yin, Sylvia, Yashur, Yak, and Cosette, who just returned from Fantion City. Steaming plates of food were placed on the table by the waiters. They were placed in front of Wu Yin and the others who were sitting around the table. Oh, Yak held a large piece of beef in her left hand and a piece of beef in her right hand. She opened her small mouth and took a bite from the left, then the right. She was very busy, and her face was full of happiness. Lucas sat in the corner, quietly serving tea and food to Wu Yin like an obedient little wife. Cosette sat beside Sylvia, serving tea and food to Sylvia. As for Lebecca, she sat quietly in her seat. She listened to Wu Yin, Sylvia, and Yasha's explanation of the dragon attack that caused quite a commotion in Fantion City. In other words, was that giant dragon actually Yak? After listening to Wu Yin, Sylvia, and Yasha's explanation, Lebecca glanced at Yak, who was still eating and drinking with a dejected expression. The Avalon Saint Dragon Emperor is indeed extraordinary. Even though he's only been born for 3 months, he can't be underestimated. You see me in a different light now. Yak puffed out her chest proudly. However, she soon withered like a frosted eggplant. Unfortunately, not only could I not control myself back then, my body was even taken away. Cheer up, Yak. Yashur said softly. That's not your fault. You're still young. When you're older, you'll definitely be able to control yourself. I'm not young. Yak frowned and took a bite of beef with a conflicted expression. Then, her face turned into a happy expression. What an obvious expression. Wu Yin shook his head and looked at Lebecca. Anyways, it's in the past. Mordred won't be able to do anything for a while. You guys don't have to worry so much. Everything will be fine when it's time. That's right, there's no point in worrying. Lebecca rubbed her brows. I'm just a student council president. I should leave this kind of national matter to someone as capable as Her Highness Veronica. President Lebecca, you're a Saint Dragon Knight. Your status is no different from a noble. If this can only be considered as insignificant, even I, a Dragon Knight, would feel guilty. Sylvia smiled wryly. Right now, Yak is in our academy and her identity has been exposed. There will be many people targeting her in the future. President Lebecca, you're the strongest in our academy. Without your protection, Yak will be in danger. Of course, I don't mind doing my part. Lebecca parted her deep red hair with her hand and wore the same confident smile on her face, as well as a hint of a smile that wasn't a smile. However, Sylvia, there's something you're wrong about. Right now, the strongest person in the academy isn't me. Lebecca shifted her gaze to Wu Yin. Sylvia, Luca, Cosette, Yashur, Yak, and the others also looked at Wu Yin. Only then did they remember that this person was the strongest person in the entire academy, the entire Night Nation, and even the entire continent. Under the watchful eyes of everyone present, Wu Yin sighed. After a moment of silence, he opened his mouth in a shocking manner. Don't count on me. Perhaps I'll have to leave this place for a while. Leave? Everyone was stunned. For a moment, they were unable to react. By the time they regained their senses, their eyes were wide open. Leave. Everyone in the cafeteria cried out in unison. Everyone was panicking. Leave? Rebecca frowned deeply. What's the meaning of this? Sylvia couldn't help but stand up and shout in front of Wu Yin. Where do you plan to go? Don't tell me you plan to part ways with us. Lord Roland. Luca grabbed Wu Yan's clothes, her face pale. Even Cosette put away the smile on her face and became serious. Yashur and Yak were also at a loss for what to do. They didn't think Wu Yin was referring to traveling for a period of time when he said he was leaving. Since Wu Yin said something like, "Don't count on me," then the place he's heading to must be very far away. How could this not cause panic in everyone's hearts? What are you all doing? Wu Yin hurriedly signaled for everyone to calm down. I only said that I'll be leaving for a while. It's not like I'll be back forever. Why are you all so anxious? But. They still couldn't get over it. All right, everyone calm down. Rebecca was the first to calm down. Her emerald eyes were fixed on Wu Yan's face. Where are you going? Where am I going? Wu Yan scratched his face and smiled. I should say I'm going back. I'm going back to where I came from. Going back. Sylvia could not hide the trembling of her body. This is your home. Where do you plan to go? Even though she said that, Sylvia knew very well that the knighthood of Lorea isn't Wu Yan's home. If Wu Yan really is hiding in the knighthood of Lorimon, with Veronica's status, she would have investigated Wu Yan's background a long time ago. She wouldn't let Wu Yan get the title of mystery. In other words, Wu Yan wouldn't be staying in the knighthood of Lorea. Obviously, only the people of Knight's Empire can obtain the dragon's larvae gifted by the Dragon Mother and become a dragon breeder. Wu Yan also has his own dragon, but there's no information about his background anywhere in Knight's Empire. This is also a puzzling issue. However, Sylvia didn't care about this anymore. She only knew that the man of her dreams was planning to leave the knighthood of Lorea and go somewhere far, far away. In that case, when would the next time be? Sylvia didn't dare to think about it. Not just Sylvia, even Luca didn't dare to think about it. Rebecca and Cosette were both wearing heavy expressions. The atmosphere was quite oppressive. I say, aren't you all being too negative? Wu Yan clapped his hands and shook his head. I said I'll be leaving, but it won't be for too long. Don't worry. Rather than saying it won't be for too long, it would be more accurate to say he'll be back in an instant. Of course, this was for the people who were frozen in time after Wu Yan left. How long do you plan on leaving? Rebecca asked. I told you it won't be for too long. Wu Yan gave everyone a reassuring smile. It might be a day or two, or it might be a little longer. However, it won't be so long that you won't be able to see me after graduation. Hearing this, the expressions of Rebecca and the others became much better. Rebecca was already a third-year student in the advanced course class. There were only a few months left until graduation. Since Wu Yan said so, it meant that he would be back in a few months at most, right? Thinking of this, everyone felt a little lonely, but they pulled themselves together. Following this, the dinner became a farewell party for Wu Yan's temporary departure. Everyone asked about Wu Yan's well-being and gave him some advice. While Wu Yan blushed with shame, he couldn't help but keep a smile on his face. Therefore, no one noticed that in the silent Luca's eyes, a trace of determination flashed through her eyes. Chapter 14:16. Night. The sparkling firelight drifted back and forth between the grass and trees, and the chirping of cicadas echoed in the night where the fireflies were active. The chirping was quite loud, but it didn't make people feel noisy at all. Instead, it made the surroundings abnormally quiet. In the rebuilt Apollo's abode, some of the windows were dark, and the sound of breathing could be heard from inside. Some of the windows were still lit, and shone strands of light onto the empty space outside Apollo's abode, forming various patterns. It was a beautiful night. It was a tranquil night. For Wu Yan, it was also a night where he was about to bid farewell to himself. Standing in the center of his room, Wu Yan looked at the scattered items on the floor and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Among these items were the farewell gifts from Rebecca, Sylvia, and the others. There were also some medicinal herbs with astonishing effects that Luca prepared for him. There were also clothes, food, and daily necessities that Corset forced on him. Among them, there were even some items that Yashur had given to him in case he needed them. Yak had also prepared some gifts. Even the 3 holy dragons, Guffrin, Lancelot, and Gawain, had reluctantly bid him farewell and gifted him some dragon glory crystals. Because of Wu Yan's personal problems, they didn't prepare too many items, but it was definitely not a small amount. If Wu Yan had no other choice but to carry these items with him, he should be able to pack them all into a large backpack that was as tall and as wide as a person. Really, scratching his head, Wu Yan sighed. Although most of these items were useless to him, they were still a token of everyone's goodwill. Even if Wu Yan didn't need them, he had to bring them along. Fortunately, I have the Gate of Babylon. Sighing in relief, Wu Yan raised his hand. The star carving on his palm responded to his action and shattered in an instant. The star essences returned to his body with the return of his power. They floated up and down as they floated around him. Looking around at the specks of star essence, Wu Yan waved his hand. A crimson rainbow light suddenly appeared. From top to bottom, the entire space was divided into 2 as if a door was opened. Slowly, the entire space was dyed crimson. At the same time, the scattered items on the ground were also lifted up by a gentle force. They were suspended in the air and circled around. They flew into the pink door one after another, disappearing in a series of ripples. Then, Wu Yan threw the dragon-shaped doll that Sylvia gave him when he was a child into the Gate of Babylon. With a wave of his hand, the crimson space slowly and forth and gradually disappeared. This should be fine, right? After looking around the room, he made sure he didn't leave anything behind. Wu Yan pulled up the system list. First, Wu Yan wanted to return to the date battle world. After spending 3 months in this world, almost a day had passed in the date battle world. First, he will return to the date battle world to get the display device he needed. Then, he will return to the Spalier world to discuss the Demigod Path mission with Yukari and the others. After that, Wu Yan can begin the second phase of the Demigod Path mission. Now, Kotori, Kurumi, and the others were still in the world of date battle, waiting for the display devices to come out. Hinajiku, Mikoto, and the others, on the other hand, were training in the diluted magical pool. He will return to the date battle world to meet up with Kotori and the others before returning to the Spalier world. He should be able to catch up with Chuju and the others when they finish absorbing the magical pool water. Besides, Kotori, Kurumi, and the other girls in the date battle world haven't soaked in the magical pool water yet. They need to go back and use it once. With that in mind, Wu Yan searched for the date battle option in the instance dungeon option, but at this moment, a series of knocking sounds came from the window of the room. Wu Yan stopped what he was doing and turned around. He looked over. He didn't know when, but one of the windows in the room was opened. The night breeze blew into the room. Outside the window, a small head poked in and stared at Wu Yan. Wu Yan paused for a moment before he exclaimed, "Luca?" That's right. It was Luca who poked her head in from the window. Facing the night breeze that blew into the room, Luca's short platinum hair fluttered gently. Traces of moonlight shone on it, as if it was covered with a layer of white frost. Under the moonlight, it revealed a sense of mystery. Luca's unique pointy ears made her look like a little fairy that came out to play in the moonlit night. She made people's hearts beat faster and their spirits soar. Luca. For a moment, Wu Yan was dazed. After confirming that he didn't see wrong, he quickly put away the system list and walked to the window. Why are you here? Rune-sama. Luca pursed her lips and whispered, I want to talk to Rune-sama. Luca exuded a delicate and seductive aura as she murmured. It's easy to soften a person's heart. Wu Yan is no exception. He scratched his cheek and extended his hand towards Luca. Then come in first. Okay. Luca nodded. She took Wu Yan's hand and climbed in through the window. That's when Wu Yan noticed that Luca climbed up from downstairs. She didn't ride Gawain. This is the 3rd floor. Realizing this, Wu Yan frowned and reprimanded her. What if you fall down and get hurt? There are trees everywhere in Yekubrad's territory. Some are even taller than this. I used to climb them when I was young. I'll be fine. Luca didn't look like she had done something wrong. Instead, she smiled happily. Rune-sama, you're really gentle. Wu Yin rolled his eyes at Luca. You didn't come here just to praise me, did you? Hearing this, Luca stopped smiling and went silent. After a while, she raised her head again. Her beautiful amethyst-like eyes stared straight at Wu Yin, and her tone became a bit sorrowful. I don't know why, but I suddenly wanted to see Rune-sama. That's why I came here. Wu Yin fell silent when he heard this. Luca must have realized that he would be leaving tonight, so she wanted to say goodbye to him. Silly girl, Wu Yin said softly as he rubbed Luca's head. I'll only be gone for a short time. It won't be long. But Luca looked downcast. I still feel lonely when Rune-sama isn't here. Wu Yin didn't know what to say. Luca stared at Wu Yan's face. Her amethyst eyes swayed like limpid autumn waters. It was as if they could suck him in. It was very moving. Suddenly, Luca reached out and untied the satin belt on her clothes. Following an extremely soft, rustling sound, the loose nightgown on Luca's body slid to the ground with a shio sound, forming a circle with Luca's small feet as the center. Luca's beautiful and slender body was exposed to the air. She's so slender that it's like looking straight at her is a sin. Wu Yin didn't expect Luca to do something like this. His heart skipped a beat, and he yelped out of reflex. What were you doing? Rune-sama. Luca didn't answer. Instead, she used her actions to prove her thoughts. She threw herself into Wu Yan's arms. Wu Yin felt the fresh breath of the forest and the soft touch. Wu Yin didn't even have time to be surprised. Luca looked up and said softly, Please stay for one more night. Let me feel you. Luca looked into Wu Yan's eyes and slowly closed her eyes. Looking down at Luca's face that is so cute and pretty as if it's against the rules. Looking at her seductive blushing face, Wu Yan's breathing quickened. Luca's next words ignited the last trace of hesitation in Wu Yan's heart. Rune-sama, please love me. Damn it. Wu Yan's tense nerves snapped. He gasped and picked up Luca's small body. After a painful cry, Lin Yi's Jiao Chuan sound replaced everything in this space. It was also a long night. Chapter 14:17. Heavenly Palace City. It was morning, but the sky above Heavenly Palace City was covered in dark clouds. It could rain at any time. It was still early, but the surroundings were already very dark. The pitch-black sky gave off an unimaginable pressure. In this kind of weather, after Shirori asked them to go out and buy some things, Toka, Yeju, and Shi-Xian, who were walking back to Itsuka's house, were not in a good mood. Toka, Yaga-Shur, and Shi-Xian weren't in a good mood the entire day. It's just getting worse now. It's already been a day. Yi Jia sighed and looked listless. He raised his head and looked at the dark sky. His voice sounded a little weak. Master has been gone for a day. Correction. Shi-Xian narrowed her eyes while carrying a bag full of ingredients. Master left in the morning. It's not night yet. So, to be exact, Master didn't leave for a whole day. Don't say that. Shido also has his own things to do. Although she said that, Toka's face showed that she was not interested at all. And it's only been a day. Back in the other world, Shido left for a very, very long period of time. For a very, very long time? Yagashir looked at Toka. How long is that? I remember. Toka counted with her fingers. It took her a while to come up with an answer. About 10 days? Surprise. 10 days. Shi-Xian's silver eyes widened slightly. Master said the time ratio between our world and his is 100. If it's 10 days, doesn't that mean Master spent a few years in the other world? I'm not sure. I'm not sure either. Tin Fragrance frowned in confusion. Shido didn't tell us. I think you didn't realize it. I'm sure everyone knows. Yijia couldn't help but put down his arrogant attitude and started complaining. The three elven girls chatted and walked toward Itsuka's house. Soon, Itsuka's house appeared in front of the three elven girls. However, when the three elven girls saw Wu He's house, they immediately turned to Wu He's house. He stopped in his tracks. A young girl was standing at the entrance of Wu He's house. Her long purple hair fluttered in the wind, and she was wearing a white dress. She wasn't tall, but she was exceptionally hot, especially her chest. The front of the dress was protruding, as if it could jump out at any time. She had a voluptuous figure, just like the models on TV. She was pretty and cute, and her face was not inferior to that of a celebrity. No matter how you looked at it, she was a charming young girl. However, the girl's beautiful face. At this moment, he was a little depressed. 10 Fragrances exclaimed in surprise. Isn't that Mei Jio? Oh, Mei Jio, who was hesitating in front of Wu He's door, turned around when she heard the noise. She finally noticed Toka, Yeju Sure, and Shi Xian. Mei Jio's originally gloomy face suddenly brightened up and became cheerful. Mei Jio suddenly opened her arms and ran towards the 3 elf girls. Miss Toka, Yaju-san, Miss Shi Xian. Wah! Seeing Mei Jio charging towards them so boldly, Mei Jio immediately sensed danger. Jiu Xiang, Yeju Sure, and Shi Xian seemed to have sensed danger in an instant. They screamed and dodged in the nick of time. Bang! Mei Jio didn't slow down in the slightest. She simply passed through the bodies of the 3 elven girls who dodged her and crashed into the wall at the side. It hurts. Mei Jio almost shed tears. She covered her nose and looked at Toka, Yeju Sure, and Shi Xian in grief. Why did you dodge? Huh? Yeju Sure made a confused sound. There's nothing wrong with dodging when you're being attacked, right? This isn't an attack. Mei Jio shouted in dissatisfaction. I just wanted to give you a hug as a sign of friendship. Most people would do that, right? Toka was surprised. Is that so? Of course. Mei Jio smiled and opened her arms again. So, Miss Toka, hurry up and give me a hug as a sign of friendship. As she spoke, Mei Jio hugged her openly. Shi Xiang couldn't help but feel that Mei Jio's words were correct. Just as Mei Jio was about to succeed, Yi Jiu Shi and Shi Xian pulled 10 incense away from Mei Jio as if they were running away from the plague. Don't be fooled, my beloved. Warning, Mei Jio is lying. So that's how it is. Toka's face turned ashen. What? Her plan was ruined. Mei Jio puffed up her cheeks in dissatisfaction. Speaking of which, after messing around for a while, Toka asked in confusion. Mei Jio, why are you here? Mei Jio seemed to remember something when she heard Toka's question. Her cheerful face immediately sank. I'm here to look for my beloved. Hearing this, Toka, Yejuya, and Shi Xian, who had recovered from their fight with Mei Jio, became depressed. Wu Yin only left in the morning. It hasn't even been a day since he left, but the girls missed Wu Yin dearly. They didn't feel it before, but now they do. Once the man who was so important to them was gone, their hearts would feel very uncomfortable. They would feel empty, as if a piece of their hearts had been dug out. Otherwise, Mei Jio wouldn't have come here immediately after returning home in the morning. After all, Mei Jio knew that even if she came here, Wu Yin wouldn't be here. Before I came, Miss Origami came as well. Mei Jio shrugged. She should be inside now. The girls' faces were all filled with dejection. Mei Jio shouted as if she couldn't take it anymore. My dear, when are you coming back? Following Mei Jio's shout, a light ringtone suddenly came from 10 Fragrance's body. Toka jumped in fright. She quickly took out her phone and didn't know what to do. Whoa, it's ringing. Shirori said which button to press to pick up the call. You ask me. I don't know. Panic. Shi Xian isn't familiar with phones either. The 3 elf girls who weren't very familiar with human society panicked, and Mei Jio reacted instead. Give it to me. I'll answer it. Mei Jio grabbed Toka's phone and picked up the call skillfully. Hello, this is Nightlure. It's not convenient for Miss Toka to pick up the phone right now. Let me. Mei Jio's voice stopped abruptly as if she was being strangled. After a while, Mei Jio's face lit up and she shouted. My dear, you're back. When Toka, Yogiya, Shi Xian, and Mei Jio rushed into the living room, they saw a group of people chatting on the sofa. Among them, there was Kotori, Kurumi, Yoshino, Origami, and Toka, who had just entered. All the elven girls were present. Between Kotori, Kurumi, Yoshino, and Origami, there's a man sitting there. It's Wu Yin, who just returned from the Dragon Knight world. "Dear love," Maid Geo happily yelled. She pounced on Wu Yin even faster than when she pounced on Toka and the others. She's even bolder than when she pounced on Wu Yin. Wu Yin, who was chatting with Kotori, and the others heard the noise. He sensed something was wrong and dodged. Bang! The next moment, Mei Jio's entire body fell onto the sofa. Her nose hit the armrest hard, and she howled in pain. Why is my dear? Are you all right?" Wu Yin, who finally saw the person who came, helped Mei Jio up. Reflex, I didn't do it on purpose, as noisy as always." Kotori pouted. "We're talking about something serious. Can you stop messing around?" "Something serious?" Toka, Yogia, Shi Xian, and Mei Jio, who were immersed in the joy of Wu Yan's return, were stunned. "I was just about to tell you girls." Wu Yin looked at the girls around him, and he started making a declaration. "We're going back to Spalier World tomorrow." Chapter 14:18. Behemoth Forest Camp. Inside the clear lake, Chuju Mikoto, Ikaros, Shokoho Kasuka, Flandrachon, Astria, Kanuhata Sai, Frenda, Takitsubu Riku, and the other girls are all in a deep sleep. They're soaking in the lake with their eyes closed. Taking a closer look, in the clear lake water, strands of strange water were slowly flowing along the smooth and delicate bodies of the young girls. It was as if the water had passed through their skin and drilled into their bodies. It was somewhat creepy. However, those in the know that this is definitely not a bad thing. It has been 2 days since Wu Yin, Kotori, Kurumi, Toka, and Yoshino returned to the Date Battle World. In these 2 days, many girls have been soaking in the diluted water of the mystical pond, absorbing the mystical pond water, causing themselves to enter a strange state of metamorphosis, gradually improving their strength. Back then, it took Wu Yin 5 days to complete his transformation using the complete miraculous pond water. The water that the girls are using now is diluted, so not only is the effect weakened, it also lengthened the time required for each of the girls to complete their transformation. Everyone has their own limits. When they reach a state of saturation, the magical pond water will no longer be effective. Therefore, the time it takes for the girls to complete their transformation varies from person to person. At the very least, not a single girl completed their transformation in 2 days. No, to be exact, on the first day, a young girl came out of the lake. She held an umbrella in one hand and a paper fan in the other. Her long blonde hair fluttered in the wind. Yukari stood on top of a rock and looked at the girls in the lake with a faint smile on her face. Yukari has been in this state for 2 days. In other words, while the girls were in a state of transformation, Yukari has been taking care of them. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that she didn't abandon them. Less than an hour after entering the lake, Yukari came out of the lake. The reason is simple. Yukari reached a state of saturation after an hour of soaking. She can't absorb a single drop of the magical pond water. This was not a strange thing. At Yukari's level, it is extremely difficult to improve even a single step. Something like the magical pond water that can be used on anyone has limited effect on Yukari. Therefore, after an hour, Violet's improvement had reached its limit. However, Violet wasn't dissatisfied with this at all. In fact, she was very satisfied. Just the fact that the pool water was effective on her was enough to satisfy her. After all, Yukari isn't a tier 8 or 9 powerhouse. She is a true demigod. Even a demigod powerhouse can improve by a little. This is enough proof of the magical pond water's miraculous effect. After living for such a long time, Violet couldn't even remember how long it had been since she had improved. Now that she had improved, although it wasn't much, Violet was content. Standing at the top of the rock, Violet looked down at the young girls who were quietly transforming in the lake. A leisurely expression appeared on her face. Yukari's aura is. Indeed, in the past 2 days, the auras of the girls have been increasing at almost every moment, and each time, it was extremely subtle. However, with Yukari's ability, it wasn't hard for her to notice this. This also allowed Purple to confirm that when the girls came out of the lake, each of them would more or less increase in strength. However, it's still not good enough. Purple smiled leisurely. There are many people in Fantasy Village who are stronger than you. There are also some who are stronger than me. You have to grow as fast as you can. As she said that, the smile on her face suddenly faded a little. She turned her head and looked at a corner of the lake. Over there was a slight change in the space without the slightest warning. It was as if the space was twisting, and there were traces of abnormal energy. Yukari narrowed her eyes when she saw this. At the same time, the space expanded, and one figure after another suddenly flashed out. After returning from the date battle world, the group of people only felt a blur in front of their eyes, and the scene that was imprinted in their vision had completely changed. The living room of Yukari's house turned into a mountain and a lake. There were naked, beautiful girls soaking in the lake. They looked like they were sleeping. This shocking scene stunned Yukari, and Yukari. Yukari was stunned. What's going on? Wow. Yukari was also shocked. Yukari often reads novels, but I don't know what this is. Wow. Yukari was the only one who looked at the girls in the lake with sparkling eyes. This is an absolute scene. Origami didn't say anything. She turned to Wu Yin and silently asked him a question. It's not over yet? Wu Yin was slightly stunned. He scratched his face. Looks like it won't be over in a short time. It's been 2 days. A pitch-black spatial fissure appeared and ferocious eyeballs spun around. Z, shouting, walked out of the fissure like he was taking a stroll. He sized up Yakuya, Yuxian, Meijio, and Origami with his purple eyes. He then looked at Wu Yin with a smile that didn't look like a smile. You've gained quite a lot. Yukari. Wu Yin was surprised to see Yukari beside him. Yukari. Kotori, Kurumi, Toka, and Yukari called out. Her gaze swept across the 4 elven girls one by one, and she nodded with a smile on her face. You're all back? The girls nodded in response to Yukari. Wu Yin looked at Yukari with eyes that flashed with the light of the system's perception. Yukari, level 96. Level 96. Wu Yin couldn't help but laugh. Yukari, you leveled up? This is the result of years of accumulation. This diluted pool water alone can't help me level up. Yukari turned around and looked at the girls in the lake. This pool water gave me a push. The effect is not bad. That's good. Wu Yin nodded and looked at the girls in the lake. So, when will they finish? Some are fast and some are slow. Yukari answered. Judging from the increase in their aura and the change in their frequency, it will take a long time at the latest. But today, 2 of them should come out. I see. Wu Yin thought for a bit and looked at Kotori, Kurumi, Toka, and Yukari. Kotori, you haven't used it yet. Go in. Kotori and the others had no objections and nodded in agreement. Wu Yin looked at Meijio, Yagoya, Yuxian, and Origami, who were silent due to the unfamiliar environment, unfamiliar situation, and unfamiliar characters. He shook his head and chuckled. All right, don't be so reserved. I'll introduce you to each other in the future. For now, enter the lake with Kotori and the others. Go in, Yakuya asked curiously. Is there something strange about the lake? Why are they soaking in it? To put it simply, this is a lake that can help you guys improve your strength. Wu Yin said concisely. You only need to soak in it for a while, and your strength will increase. It can increase our strength. Yi Juya and Shi Xian's eyes lit up. They even turned to look at the lake. Soaking it with those cute girls? Meijio rubbed her hands together excitedly. I'll go in. If you don't, I'll go in. You can go in. Kotori added coldly from the side. But you're not allowed to come near us. Meijio instantly let out a dissatisfied sound. You guys. Wu Yin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. All in all, go into the lake and improve your strength as much as you can. Wu Yin looked at Yukari. Yukari, come with me. I have something to discuss with you. Yukari glanced at Wu Yin and seemed to have sensed that what Wu Yin wanted to say wasn't as simple as it seems. She nodded without saying anything. Hey, darling. Meiju snuggled up to him and spoke in a soft voice. Aren't we going in together? Huh? Wu Yin laughed dryly. Chapter 1419. In the Behemoth Forest. After leaving the lake, Violet led Wu Yin out of the campsite and into the Behemoth Forest. She didn't use the power of time gap. She didn't let Wu Yin use his teleportation magic either. Holding a parasol, Yukari strolled through the giant beast forest as if she's taking a stroll. She looked like a young lady on a vacation. She's both elegant and graceful. Invisible ripples of energy radiated from her body. Under this invisible energy ripple, wherever Violet passed, all the magical beasts within 100 meters of her seemed to have seen their natural predator. They howled miserably, tucked their tails between their legs, and fled with their tails between their legs. Wu Yin, who is following behind Yukari, couldn't help but gasp in amazement at this scene. As expected of a demon sage from the land of fantasy, his methods were brilliant. He was not someone an ordinary demigod realm expert could compare with. This made Wu Yin more determined to continue the demigod path mission. It was fine if he didn't become a demigod, but once he did, he couldn't be weaker than Violet. To Wu Yin, Violet was like a guide standing at the top of the mountain. She was always pointing the way for Wu Yin, who was still halfway up the mountain. Although he didn't say it out loud, Wu Yin had already set Violet as one of his goals. Sooner or later, he would surpass her. Phew. Taking a deep breath, Wu Yin suppressed the waves in his heart and looked up at Violet. Violet, is it okay for us to leave like this? Are you worried about your little girlfriends? Purple continued to walk forward without looking back. Don't worry, I've set up a barrier. Unless the 5 demigods from the Spalier world come, no one will be able to enter. I'm not worried about that. Hearing Violet's confident words, Wu Yin calmed down, but he still shook his head. Didn't you say 2 people would come out today? What if they don't find us? Kotori, Kurumi, and the others had already entered the lake. They were absorbing the magical pond water and transforming themselves. When the other girls saw Kotori and the others, they only needed to think for a moment to guess that they had returned. It was inevitable that they would be anxious if they couldn't find them. Don't worry, it won't take long. Violet continued, walking towards a certain direction in the forest. Only then did Wu Yin realize that the surrounding environment and the path Z was taking seemed somewhat familiar. This is... Wu Yin asked with uncertainty. Purple, are you going to take me to the base? Did you notice? Violet shook her head regretfully. I thought you would have discovered it earlier. Aha. Wu Yin scratched his face in embarrassment. You can't blame me for that. I've been in another world for about half a year. I just couldn't remember it. It's not that you didn't remember, it's that you didn't pay attention to the path I took. Violet exposed Wu Yin without hesitation. You think I don't know about your instant memory ability? This time, Wu Yin was speechless. Wu Yin. After an unknown amount of time, the trees in front of them started to become sparse. Their field of vision gradually widened. Under Violet's lead, the 2 passed through the trees. After passing through the grass, they arrived at a vast open space. This was the place where Wu Yin chose to build his base. However, this piece of land was completely empty at this moment. Let alone a base, there wasn't even a tile or brick to be seen. All that was left was a flat land. When he saw this, Wu Yin turned pale with fright. Then he thought of something. Violet, did you set up a barrier? Of course. I'm an expert. Z chuckled. She closed the parasol in her hand and gently raised the tip of the parasol in front of her. She nodded. With the tip of the parasol as the source, the space in front of them suddenly fluctuated, creating a ripple. Amidst the ripples, a small hole silently appeared and slowly expanded until it was the size of a person. It swayed like a reflection in the water, giving off a feeling that it would shatter with a light touch. This barrier contains my realm power. Even if you use spatial transfer, there's no way to directly transfer from outside to inside. Violet opened the parasol again and placed it on her shoulder. In addition to the barrier's defensive capabilities, It would take all the magical beasts in the behemoth forest to come here and attack it for a day and a night to break it. Of course, compared to the Great Barrier in Fantasy Village, this barrier is considered weak. Even so, it's still amazing. Wu Yin praised. If it were me, I wouldn't know how long it would take to set up such a barrier, but you set it up in one move. Not in one move. Violet glanced at Wu Yin grumpily. Even for me, it took me a day and a night to set up this barrier. No wonder it's so good. Cut the crap. Violet knocked Wu Yan's head with the paper fan in her hand. Let's go in and see. Me? Wu Yin rubbed his aching head and walked into the barrier, puzzled. As if passing through a thin film, the scene in front of Wu Yin changed dramatically in a wave of water. A huge fortress the size of a city has appeared in the empty space. The steel-like walls were at least 100 meters tall, and one couldn't see the end of it. They spread to both sides, enclosing everything in the fortress in a circular shape. Inside the fortress, there are many tall buildings. Some are Spalier World-style fantasy buildings. Some are modern science and technology buildings, and some are ancient Western European like churches and temples. It's like a dream that brought together the worlds of every era, but it didn't feel out of place. If the Academy City in the Forbidden Tome of Magic was a modern world, and the Ansari Kingdom's Dragon Riding Academy in the Star Card Dragon Knight was an ancient Western world, then this fortress before his eyes was a real fantasy world. It's not that it's beautiful, it's that it's aesthetically pleasing, because this small world can only appear in fairy tales and dreams. At this time, the Misaka sisters wearing pure white gorgeous made outfits lined up neatly on both sides of the fortress's wide-open gate. When they saw Wu Yin walk in from outside the barrier, they respectfully bowed and saluted. "Welcome back, Oni-sama." Their voices echoed throughout the fortress as if they were rehearsed. Wu Yin was petrified when he saw the fortress that looked like it came from several eras and the 2 rows of Misaka sisters bowing. That fortress is the base. These maids are the Misaka sisters? How can a base be built like this? Why are the Misaka sisters wearing maid outfits? One question after another, and the scene before him was beyond Wu Yan's imagination. Wu Yin was stunned and didn't come back to his senses for a long time. He never knew that the items that he had exchanged for the construction of the base could be used to build the base to such an extent. How did they do it? The items you exchanged for were added for safety and defensive purposes. Yukari explained as if she saw through Wu Yan's thoughts. In order to make this home look better and make it more comfortable to live in, those little girlfriends of yours have put in a lot of effort to make the base look like this. Wu Yin could almost see Chuju, Mikoto, Shokuha Misaki, and Kotori racking their brains to build this base. He couldn't help but smile. Those girls really can't be underestimated. At least, they're much more capable than those lazy bastards in Fantasy Village. Yukari gave the girls a rare affirmation. Well, as long as I don't mind having a place like this, I didn't know the base was already built. Wu Yin smiled bitterly. You guys really hid it from me. Yukari glanced at Wu Yin. Aren't you focused on expanding your list of girlfriends? Ahem. Wu Yin coughed dryly. That's slander. Wu Yin was met with Yukari's gaze, as if she was trying to read his mind. Wu Yan's righteous expression crumbled. Fine, I admit that I don't really care about the base, but you're doubting my intentions. Is that so? Yukari walked towards the gate of the base, without saying anything. Let's just assume that, wait. Wu Yin chased after her. Chapter 1420. Behemoth Forest. Base. In the middle of the dreamlike fortress, there was a building that took up quite a lot of space. It was pyramid-shaped, and its exterior was made of cold metal. It was the tallest building in the entire base. Standing at the top, one could even see the entire base. If not Suki, Kanon, Nagisa, and Agurola saw this tall building, they would be able to see a familiar figure. Cornerstone Gate. However, there was a slight difference. The style of Cornerstone Gate leaned towards modern architecture, and this pyramid-shaped building looked like it grew out of thin air. It wasn't a skyscraper, nor was it a classical building. Similar to the base, it blended the feeling of several eras, making it feel dreamy. After a discussion among the girls, the name of the base had already been decided. It would be called the capital of a different generation. It meant that the base's architectural style had surpassed the limits of each generation. The pyramid-shaped building in the center of the Otherworld capital was called Generation's Heart. Speaking of which, it had to be mentioned. Actually, the Generation's Heart wasn't designed by the girls. It was the Misaka sisters who decided to build it. The Generation's Heart was for Wu Yin and the girls to live in. Originally, the group of girls didn't approve of this kind of treatment. After all, not only was the Generation's Heart located in the center of the Otherworld capital, it was also the tallest and most luxurious building. It was just like the Otherworld capital's palace. This way, living in the Generation's Heart would be the same as living in the Otherworld capital's royal family. The Misaka sisters living in other places would be treated like servants and commoners. Makoto was the first one to disagree with such a method. The other girls' opinions were secondary. She was the older sister. The older sister lived in the center of the luxurious area and treated the younger sisters like her subordinates. Makoto couldn't agree. But on this point, his younger sister's persistence was also surprising. To the Misaka sisters, Wu Yin and the other girls had a high status. In the past, it was the girls who gave the orders to the Misaka sisters. He told them what they should do. Therefore, Wu Yin and the girls' positions in the hearts of the Misaka sisters were deeply ingrained and could not be changed. Be it now or in the future, the Misaka sisters would still follow Wu Yin and the other girls' orders and do all sorts of things. Therefore, in the end, the Misaka sisters prepared the Heart of Generations for Wu Yan's group, who were like brothers, sisters, and leaders. She meant that without Wu Yan's group, they would lose their hearts and would not be able to live on. There was no need for the capital of alternate generations to exist. Under such perseverance, left with no choice, the girls could only compromise on the top floor of Generation's Heart. Wu Yin, who was sitting on the sofa, did not know whether to laugh or cry when he heard Yukari's explanation. That sounds like something Makoto and the Misaka sisters would do. Later, I'll use the Gap's ability to move the lake and the campsite, and your little girlfriend's here. Yukari asked casually as she sipped on the black tea that Misaka's sister had brewed for her. So, you don't have to worry about them not being able to find us. Can you tell me what you want to discuss with me? Wu Yin did not waste any more time and pulled up the system list. He clicked on the Demigod Path interface and explained the mission to Yukari. This is really against the rules. Yukari's first reaction after listening to Wu Yan's explanation was to sigh. When your little girlfriends reach the pinnacle of Tier 9, this Demigod Path will be open to them, right? That's what the system said. Wu Yin shrugged. So, I want to know what you think. If it were me, I would make the same choice as you. Yukari answered without hesitation. Rather than becoming a demigod now, why don't you continue with the Demigod Path mission? When you reach the pinnacle of demigod in one go, you don't have to overcome it step by step like me. At my level, it's hard to even level up. Amethyst became solemn and warned him earnestly. You have to grasp this opportunity. It's not easy to reach the pinnacle in one go. You have the Ruby mode anyway. You don't have to worry even if you meet a demigod opponent. It's best if you accumulate the effects of your items. It'll be faster than you crawling on the demigod path like a tortoise. I think so too. Wu Yin nodded. So, you agree that I should continue with the Demigod Path mission, right? Yukari rolled her eyes and said bitterly, at the very least, I won't let go of such an opportunity. Well, you're not that weak yourself. Wu Yin grinned as he changed the topic and made a decision. Then, without further ado, let's start the Demigod Path mission now. Wait. Yukari pressed the paper fan against Wu Yan's forehead and pushed him back onto the sofa. Who told you that I'm going with you? Wu Yin was stunned. Although there's a barrier, it doesn't mean that there's no need for anyone to take care of this place. Yukari tapped Wu Yan's forehead with the paper fan. So, I think I should stay here, I said. Wu Yin shrugged helplessly. If that's the case, I'll have to go by myself. I didn't say that you should go by yourself. Yukari smiled. There are 2 people coming out of the lake today. Didn't the mission say that I can only bring 2 summoners with me? You mean, just bring the 2 of them along? Yukari made her final decision. Nighttime, Wu Yin yawned and rubbed his eyes as he walked down the hallway leading to the main hall. He looked exhausted from lack of sleep. Wu Yin was already asleep when Yukari came to his room and woke him up with a knock on his head. She told him that the 2 summoners who finished their transformation were waiting for him in the main hall. They asked him to go over and start the Demigod Path mission. Seriously, since it's already so late, can't I just wait until tomorrow to start the mission? Wu Yin muttered in dissatisfaction as he walked down the hallway and into the main hall. The main hall took up a lot of space. Because of this, the main hall was very quiet at night, and it gave off a creepy vibe. Just as Yukari said, there were already 2 people in the main hall. One of them had long pink hair and was wearing a pale yellow dress and a white short-sleeved jacket. The other had short brown hair, wearing a black short-sleeved shirt and shorts. They were Chuju and Mikoto. Wu Yan's mind jolted. The drowsiness in his head disappeared in an instant. Light flashed through his eyes. Misaka Mikoto, level 82. Gue Chuju, level 80. Wu Yan smirked when he saw the 2 girls who didn't notice his arrival. He appeared behind them in a flash. Who's there? Both Hinajiku and Mikoto's expressions froze as they turned around. One of them pulled out a crystal-like longsword, while the other's hand flashed with blue and white lightning. Both of them pointed behind them. When they saw who it was, the frosty expression on their faces froze for a moment before turning into joy. Yan, Chuju, Mikoto. Wu Yin laughed out loud. You've grown quite fast. Hinajiku's eyes flashed with the light of the system's perception, followed by an annoyed expression. How can we compare to you? You're already at the peak of Tier 9. We've heard the details from Yukari. Mikoto put one hand on her waist and brushed her bangs with the other. How is it? Are we starting the quest now? With Yukari here, there shouldn't be any problems. If we can start the quest faster, I won't object. Wu Yin looked at Chuju and Mikoto. Do you want to come with me to this dungeon? You said it yourself. With Yukari here, there shouldn't be any problems. The base is already complete. We can rest assured of our sister's safety. Mikoto smiled. It's been a long time since we've entered dungeon. It's not a bad idea to go. Me too. Chuju ran her fingers through her pink hair. It's been a long time since we've fought. I'm itching to give it a try. Seeing the smiles on Chuju and Mikoto's faces, Wu Yin couldn't help but smile as well. Chapter 1421. Crisscrossing streets. Buildings were everywhere, pedestrians coming and going. The trees were scattered all over the place. This is a small city, a quiet and beautiful small city. Under the flood control dam, the river quietly flowed, the bridge quietly lying on the riverbank like a dragon, connecting the east and west of the city. In the city, there weren't many cars and people were coming and going. Pedestrians could be seen everywhere on the sidewalk. Streets, shopping malls, parks, squares, everywhere. There was a crowd of people who were having fun. Among these people, most of them were students in uniforms. Elementary school students, middle school students, high school students on the street. Students wearing uniforms of various styles were chatting and laughing as they walked in different directions. They had innocent smiles on their faces, telling people that they were in the most dazzling years of their lives. But this is just on the surface. This seemingly tranquil city actually had a dark side that no one knew about. No, instead of saying it's a dark side, it's better to say that some people here are not real, ordinary people. Fuyuki City. This is the name of this seemingly peaceful city. In Fuyuki City, on one of the streets, a man and 2 women are standing in the middle. The man has black hair and red eyes. His appearance is not outstanding, but his body is surrounded by a completely different temperament from the pedestrians around him. He looks out of place, but he has a sense of existence that can't be ignored. The woman has tea hair and tea eyes. The woman has beautiful long pink hair. In terms of appearance, she is definitely one in a million, a rare beauty. Why is the existence of this man and 2 women emphasized? Because just a second ago, these 3 people were actually not here yet. They had only appeared out of thin air at this moment. Yes, appeared out of thin air. However, none of the passers-by noticed this strange scene. Apart from a portion of the passers-by who were attracted by the two beautiful girls, the rest of the passers-by continued to walk on their own, completely oblivious to the slightest bit of abnormality. At this time, the three of them had their eyes closed and were immersed in the content of a cold, emotionless, machine-like voice that rang in their minds. Beep. Special mission. Path of Demigod. Second round activated. Special mission. Path of Demigod mission link. Second link mission world. Magical Girl Ilya mission details. Obtain a rank card Saber, Swordsman, Lancer, Lancer, Archer, Archer, Rider, Rider, Caster, Magician, Assassin, Assassin, Berserker, Berserker. Beep. This instance dungeon world is the Path of Demigod's special quest dungeon world. The original instance dungeon world's mission has been cancelled. Only after the user has completed the second phase of the special quest, Path of Demigod, can the user choose to leave this instance dungeon world. Reminder, the time ratio between the dungeon world and the real world is 100. 1. Users can proceed with the dungeon experience without worry. I wish you a happy dungeon run. The system's cold voice silently fell into the minds of the three people, not leaving a single echo. Slowly opening their eyes, Wu Yin, Chuju, and Makoto looked around at the same time. Looking at the people coming and going, it was a very peaceful scene. They glanced at each other. Magical Girl Ilya? Chuju couldn't help but break the strange silence between the three of them. In other words, there's a magical girl in this world, right? Magical girl. Makoto looked at the people coming and going again. She closed her eyes, as if she couldn't bear to look at this very ordinary city. I can't imagine there's a magical girl in this kind of place, sigh. Wu Yin rubbed his forehead and looked at the clear sky with a helpless expression. Looks like we've arrived at a very strange world. Magical Girl Ilya. This world was different from the Dragon Knight of the Stars world, where Wu Yin didn't read the original work at all. When he was still an otaku, he read a bit of it. So, Wu Yin didn't know much about this instance dungeon world, but he wasn't completely clueless about it. To put it simply, this seemingly peaceful world was in fact in the dark. In fact, there was a special group of people moving around. Magicians. As the name suggests, this was a group of people who learn magic and possess powers different from normal people. Of course, if it's just a magician, then there's nothing to be afraid of. With the power of all the magicians in this world, even if all of them worked together, they wouldn't be a match for Wu Yin, Hinajiku, and Makoto. However, other than the magicians, this world's original form, the Shape Moon world, actually had many unknown special life forms. Unlike the magicians who could perform magic, the magicians who could perform miracles, magical phenomena that modern science couldn't recreate, immortal death apostles and true ancestors, heroic spirits, subjugation. These existences weren't something magicians could compare to. Any one or two of them would be extremely powerful. Some of them might even be stronger than the current Wu Yin. Not to mention, in the Shape Moon world, there is also the origin, the most mysterious existence that was equivalent to the world and human consciousness. These existences, even if Wu Yin activated Yukari's Red Jade mode, he still wouldn't be able to defeat them. Fortunately, although the Magical Girl Ilya dungeon world was born in the Shape Moon world, it wasn't as dangerous as the original Shape Moon world. At least, according to Wu Yan's understanding of this world, it wasn't as dangerous as the original Shape Moon world. According to the original story, with the strength of Wu Yin and the other two, it should be very easy for them to complete the second instance dungeon quest. Thinking of this, Wu Yan's expression became much better. Unfortunately, this expression didn't last long. Beep. According to the Demigod Path, Quest Item 6. Some special instance dungeons will add some restrictions to the user. Increase the difficulty of the Demigod Path quest. Detected that the current instance dungeon meets this requirement. System automatically added restrictions. Following the system notification, 3 silver bracelets appeared on Wu Yin, Hinajiku, and Makoto's wrists without any warning. The bracelets glowed with a delicate light. At the same time, Wu Yin and the other two felt as though their strength was being suppressed. It suddenly dropped all the way to level 75 before stopping. Beep. According to the quest requirement, adding restricted bracelets to the user and her summon character. Additional quest requirement. User and her summon character are not allowed to remove the restricted bracelets during the second phase of the special quest demigod path. If the user and her summon character violate the quest requirement, the special quest demigod path will be declared a failure. Reminder, once the special quest demigod path is declared a failure, the user will no longer be able to continue the demigod path quest. The system will automatically generate a quest reward item based on the number of demigod path quest items completed. The user's progress on the demigod path quest will be terminated. This is troublesome. That was the first thought that came out of Wu Yin, Chuju, and Mikoto's mouths at the same time. My strength is being suppressed. It seems like I can only fight at level 75. Mikoto's expression revealed a hint of displeasure. This feeling of being suppressed makes me feel a little uncomfortable. Me too. My level is being suppressed to 75. Chuju first looked at the silver bracelet on her wrist before looking at Wu Yin. Don't look at me. It's the same for me too. My level is being suppressed to 75. Wu Yin sighed. The demigod path is not easy to walk. Chuju and Mikoto looked at each other before looking at Wu Yin. What should we do now? Wu Yin scratched his head. In any case, let's find a place to stay first. This quest isn't something that can be completed in a day. Chuju and Mikoto nodded in agreement. Chapter 1422. Night. After spending an entire day, Wu Yin first exchanged some gold coins for the currency of this world. Then, he spent a large amount of money and found a house that is neither too small nor too big. He bought it and used it as his residence in this world. After entering through the iron gate, the first thing he saw was a large courtyard. On both sides of the courtyard was a grassy field with some trees and flowers that didn't require constant care. From the gate to the entrance of the house, there was a small path that could accommodate 2 or 3 people. There was also a flight of stairs in front of the door, giving a good first impression. Inside the courtyard, there was a large family house that could accommodate at least 10 people. It was about 3 stories tall compared to the average family house. It was quite luxurious. In order to find such a place to live, Wu Yin, Chuju, and Mikoto ran around a lot. In the end, they decided to buy this place that was neither ordinary nor conspicuous. It looked very comfortable. The owner of this courtyard originally decided to emigrate, but he couldn't bear to part with such a place. He stayed in Fuyuki City and went to the real estate agent every day, trying to find someone who knew how to take care of the house and could afford to sell it. Coincidentally, he bumped into Wu Yan's group who came to buy the house. Therefore, the owner of the courtyard didn't even touch the daily necessities or furniture in the house. He just took some of his clothes and personal belongings, packed up hastily, and left the country in a hurry. So, even if it was bought on the same day, except for some women's daily necessities and clothes, in terms of living conditions, this house is enough for 2 people to live in. Before the night fell, Wu Yin finished the transfer procedures in time and brought Chuju and Mikoto. They moved in comfortably. As for Chuju and Mikoto's daily necessities, because it was dark, they couldn't go out to buy them today. They'll have to wait until tomorrow. In the living room, the 3 of them who were busy all day were drinking the black tea that Wu Yin just made. They were comfortably lying on the sofa. Our luck isn't bad. To actually find such a place. Chuju's face showed a hint of joy, but soon she felt a bit of heartache. But isn't it a bit wasteful to just buy it? Really? Wu Yin poured tea for the 2 girls, and he tilted his head to the side in puzzlement. I think it's worth it. We don't need to prepare anything. We can move in directly. It's just that we don't have any daily necessities. Mikoto put down the teacup in her hand. He crossed his arms in front of him. The mission shouldn't be in a hurry, right? Don't worry, it's not that urgent. Wu Yin waved his hand. Although it's called a mission, this mission doesn't require as much time as you think. You can leisurely play during the day. The time to carry out the mission is usually at night. At night? Chuju asked suspiciously. Aren't we supposed to find 7 cards of some class? Would it be enough to spend the night searching? It should be said that we can only look for it at night. Wu Yin pursed his lips and recalled what he knew. Although I don't know why, but in this world, those who look for the rank cards all start at midnight. Come to think of it, we should also need to wait until then. If that's the case, it's a lot easier. Makoto's expression relaxed. Her brown eyes shifted to Wu Yin. By the way, what is that class card? Speaking of which, you two still don't know the general situation of this world. Wu Yin paused for a moment and scratched his face. First, do you know what a heroic spirit is? Chuju and Makoto pondered for a moment and said the same thing in unison. What is that? Wu Yan's mouth twitched. He sighed. Simply put, a heroic spirit refers to a hero who left behind great achievements in myths and legends. After their death, they become the incarnation of a human being. It's a type of existence similar to the undead and fairies. They have the power or items corresponding to myths and legends. Power? Items? Both Hinajiku and Makoto nodded in confusion. Do you know about my noble phantoms? Wu Yin reminded them. The so-called powerful item. It's referring to these noble phantoms. I see. Chuju was a little surprised. So what does this heroic spirit have to do with the class cards we need to collect? The class card is a card made from advanced magic theory. Wu Yin narrowed his eyes. It can be used as a medium to manifest the power and noble phantoms of the legendary heroic spirit. It can be used as a weapon for the user to fight. Borrowing the power of the heroic spirit, the two girls looked at each other with a serious expression. This kind of card with special power, it's not as simple as just finding it, right? Actually, it's pretty easy to find it. Wu Yin stood up and went to the balcony. He looked at the night view of Fuyuki City. Since I came to this world, I've been vaguely feeling some distorted magical energy. I think the class card should be in that place, right? Chuju and Makoto frowned. They stood up and went to the balcony. It's a pity that one of the girls uses a superpower while the other uses a sword as a weapon. Even if they have great power, they can't sense mana as acutely as Wu Yin. Only when they're close enough can they use their own strength to sense the presence of mana. Do you want to recycle it? On Makoto's forehead, arcs of blue and white electricity danced around. I can recycle it anytime. The problem is the class card isn't that easy to recycle. Wu Yin frowned. The class card isn't in this world. It's in a reflection of this world called the Mirror Realm. We have to enter the Mirror Realm first to recycle the card. On the other hand, the rank cards are not just lying there and waiting for us to retrieve them. In the Mirror Realm, the heroic spirits of the corresponding rank cards have been materialized with the power of the rank cards. We have to defeat them in order to retrieve the rank cards. Saber, Lancer, Archer, Rider, Caster, Assassin, Berserker. Wu Yin turned around and faced Chuju and Makoto. Like the information on the mission, there are a total of 7 class cards. We have to defeat them one by one to get the cards. So you're saying that we have to fight against those mythical or historical figures? Chuju pursed her lips. Sounds like it's going to be tough. Indeed, the legendary heroic spirits are very powerful. If we were to fight against their real bodies, we wouldn't even be able to defeat one of them with our limited power. Wu Yin shook his head and chuckled. However, the heroic spirits created by the class cards are only their avatars. Their power is greatly reduced. With our current power, it might be hard to deal with them, but it's not like we can't defeat them. If we work together, it's more than enough. That's good. Chuju sighed in relief. Makoto, on the other hand, looked excited. Before that, let me have a duel with those heroic spirits. A duel? Wu Yin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. So you're eyeing those heroic spirits? They should be one as well, right? Makoto retorted. If that's the case, it's only fair if we fight one-on-one. Heroic spirits aren't like those hooligans you fought in Academy City. Even if they're only their avatars, some of them are still very powerful. It's going to be hard for you to fight them alone. Wu Yin rolled his eyes. Besides, if I'm not mistaken, The heroic spirits created by the class cards don't have any intelligence. They only know how to destroy the enemies in front of them. Plus, they have noble phantoms as their trump card. Are you sure you want to fight one-on-one? Who gives up before even fighting? Mikoto clenched her fists. Anyway, we'll fight if we can win. If we can't, we'll gang up on them. It's decided then. Wu Yin and Chuju were speechless after hearing such a strong argument. Chapter 14:23. The next day, the sunlight that pierced through the clouds was like a golden thread, crisscrossing, sewing the white clouds into a beautiful pattern. The warm sunlight fell through the dense clouds, turning into rays of golden light, like the lights behind a curtain, gradually enveloping the entire Fuyuki city. The chirping of birds could be heard in the air, and the bustling of the streets gradually became lively. The people welcomed a brand new day and began their peaceful daily life. On the top floor of a rather luxurious courtyard, in a room, Wu Yin lazily put on his clothes, cheered himself up, opened the door of the room, and walked into the hall. It was about 7 o'clock in the morning. At this time, some office workers and students had just woken up, so it was still early. Wu Yin woke up so early because there were a lot of things to do today. Chuju and Mikoto hadn't purchased their daily necessities yet. Because the previous owner lived alone in this house, there wasn't much furniture in the other rooms. There was only a bed, and even the sheets and pillows were spare. These needed to be bought again. Although Chuju and Mikoto both said that they could go out and buy, the two were not familiar with this world at all. Secondly, they were new to Fuyuki City and didn't know where to go shopping. Wu Yin was the other half of the two women. He was also a man. At this time, it was better to be by their side. Moreover, today wasn't just going out to shop. Wu Yin also wanted to go to the center of the distorted magic, where the rank card was located to investigate. According to the original plot, the rank card existed in the mirror realm. If you want to enter the mirror realm, you not only need a certain amount of space magic theory and attainments, but you also need complete coordinates and the specific usage of the movement method. The original plot didn't give any of these. Fortunately, using the rank card, the magic of the avatars penetrated the mirror realm, causing the distortion of magic. According to the source of this part of magic, follow the vine to find the melon. It took a while. With the knowledge of 103,000 magic books in Wu Yan's mind, it wasn't difficult to find a way to enter the mirror realm. As long as he found the way to enter the mirror realm, then the second part of the demigod path could officially begin. In the original plot, the time to enter the mirror realm was 12 o'clock in the morning. Today, Wu Yin planned to do some investigation on the mirror realm and wait until tomorrow to challenge those violent avatars. This time should be enough for him to prepare. After all, this time, he couldn't do the mission as leisurely as before. The limited bracelet had suppressed the level of Wu Yin, Chuju, and Mikoto 75. With this level of power, Wu Yin can't say he won't be in any danger if he goes up against the heroic spirit's clone. Moreover, this time, Wu Yin couldn't rely on his red jade mode. Last night, he tried to enter the red jade mode, and the result was that he could use it. But after using it, his level would still be suppressed to 75, even if he used Flandre-chan and Yukari's red jade mode. Therefore, the red jade mode only gave Wu Yin the ability of the owner of the three modes. Of course, whether it was Kurumi's power of time, Flandre-chan's power of destruction, or Yukari's power of realm, each of them could easily challenge opponents of a higher level, even if they were only at level 75. This was especially true for Flandre-chan and Yukari. It was not impossible for them to challenge opponents of a higher level. However, Wu Yin had his own trump card. Familiars. If he used familiars at level 75, there wasn't much of a difference between using the eye ability and the realm ability. Therefore, there was no need to rely on the red jade mode. Under these circumstances, caution was a must. The system made it clear that if Wu Yin fails the quest, the system will automatically generate rewards based on his current number of demigod path quests. That way, he won't be able to proceed with the demigod path quest. Wu Yin had only completed the first part of the demigod path quest. In other words, Wu Yin would only be able to obtain the item needed to reach level 90, and then he would have to obediently level up one level at a time, wasting a chance to reach the heavens in a single bound. However, the system had also stated that the mission would only be declared a failure if the limited bracelet was removed. In other words, as long as Wu Yin, Chuju, and Mikoto don't remove the limited bracelet, the mission wouldn't be declared a failure even if they spent a year, 10 years, 100 years, or even 1,000 years collecting rank cards. The fact that there was no time limit was good news. The prerequisite was that there was no real danger to their lives. Last night, Wu Yin had solemnly told Chuju and Mikoto to remove the bracelet if there was any danger to their lives. Rather than let the girls die once, Wu Yin would rather climb the demigod path like a tortoise crawling on a turtle's back. This was undeniable. With today's activities in mind, Wu Yin pushed open the door to the living room and walked in. "Morning, Yin." "Morning." Two equally pleasant voices sounded from the living room, dispelling the last trace of sleepiness in Wu Yan's mind. He looked into the living room. Chuju and Mikoto were in the kitchen preparing breakfast, while Mikoto was setting the table. Both of them had aprons around their bodies, making them look like housewives. At this moment, they looked exceptionally virtuous. Looking at this scene, Wu Yin couldn't help but grin. "Morning, Chuju. Mikoto, come and sit." Mikoto greeted without turning her head. "Breakfast is almost ready. Come and have a glass of milk. Are you two cooking together today?" Wu Yin sat at the head of the table, looking at the two girls with a strange expression. "That's really strange. How is it strange?" Chuju rolled her eyes at Wu Yin. "You're talking like we don't know how to make breakfast." "It's not like that," Wu Yin hurriedly explained. "It's just that I rarely see you two cooking, so it's a bit strange. That's because your cooking is too good. We only want to eat your food. When you're not around, Ikaros is the one who prepares the food, so we don't have a chance to cook." Mikoto pursed her lips in dissatisfaction. "Even though I don't cook often, I've done well in Tokawadai. Don't think of me as a girl who only knows how to fight." "Aha!" Wu Yin chuckled bitterly. Indeed, in Wu Yin's impression, Mikoto is a girl who only knows how to fight. If we were to use a scale of 100, Mikoto's girly rating would be 10, her manly rating would be 40, and the remaining 50 would be her tsundere rating. As for Hinajuku, before she became his summon, she used to cook a lot at home. Wu Yin is aware of that. By the time Chuju and Mikoto finished preparing breakfast, Wu Yin had already finished his fourth glass of milk. "I'm going to dig in." After performing a Japanese etiquette, the three of them began to enjoy a warm and blissful breakfast. Seeing the two girls chatting happily while eating, Wu Yin couldn't help but open his mouth. "It feels like it's been a long time." Both Hinajuku and Mikoto looked at him questioningly. "I remember the time when there were only the three of us." Wu Yin smiled gently. "At that time, the three of us were so weak. Even the strongest Mikoto was weaker than me with my limited power. It feels like we've returned to that time. It's quite nostalgic." Hearing this, Hinajuku and Mikoto couldn't help but smile, their eyes revealing traces of nostalgia. But soon, their faces darkened. "I say, do you know who's the one who caused this?" Chuju's voice turned cold. "Indeed, at first there were only the three of us." Mikoto raised the knife on the table and pointed it at Wu Yin. "But later, as a certain someone became more and more fickle, there were more and more people." Haha. Wu Yin laughed out loud. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. "I suddenly feel hungry. Let's eat." "Is that so?" The two girls smiled evilly. They picked up a piece of bread and stuffed it into Wu Yan's mouth without hesitation. "Then let us feed you." Ugh. In a moment of carelessness, Wu Yan's mouth was stuffed to the brim. He fell on the ground face up and played around with the two girls. In the living room, everyone's laughter and begging for mercy echoed. It was unusually warm. Chapter 1424. Fuyuki City was not very big, and it was not very prosperous. It could only be regarded as a rather ordinary small city. At least, that's what it looks like on the surface. Wu Yin took out a new map and started shopping with Chuju and Mikoto. He didn't just buy daily necessities for the two girls, clothes, bed sheets, pillows, and so on. He also bought a lot of food, books, DVDs, and so on to pass the time. He even bought a lot of decorative items like dolls and dolls for his collection. Wu Yin didn't plan to limit the amount of gold he has in the ring of gold. He only exchanged a dozen or so gold coins yesterday. With the value of gold in this world, it's enough for the three of them to live a luxurious life for a long time. As it turns out, when the three of them finish their shopping trip, they still have a lot of gold coins left. Even if they spend it luxuriously, it's enough to last them for about a month. Due to the sheer amount of things he bought, he had no choice but to ask the shopkeeper to deliver the goods to his house every time he went to a place to buy something. Of course, it's not like Wu Yin can't use the Gate of Babylon. It's just that using the Gate of Babylon in public will attract all kinds of trouble. After all, even though there were magicians in this world, they all firmly adhered to the most basic and common rules that had not been coordinated. They can't let ordinary people know about the existence of magicians. Therefore, magicians were still in existence that could only appear on TV or in comics to most people who didn't know about magicians. The only magicians that were truly recognized by humans were those magicians who played tricks like poker cards. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. Once Wu Yin uses some kind of supernatural power, those magicians in Fuyuki City or other places will be like sharks that smell blood. They will gather one after another. That's not an ordinary kind of trouble. Besides, even if there's no such trouble, Wu Yin didn't intend to use Gate of Babylon or any other inhuman powers at this moment. After coming out of the house, Hinajiku and Makoto's smiles never stopped, and their mood was unprecedentedly high. Along the way, they frequently laughed like silver bells and smiled like flowers, attracting the attention of passers-by, becoming a rare scenery in Fuyuki City. That's normal, strictly speaking. Since Chuju and Makoto came out of the Forbidden Magic catalog world and came to the Spalier world, they haven't enjoyed a normal life like this. At first, they were students in the Spalier World Academy, competing with others for ranking. After they came out of the Spalier World Academy, they went to the Behemoth Forest because of their sisters. As a result, since they came to the Behemoth Forest, they haven't left the Behemoth Forest camp. Now that their sisters finally have a place to stay, they don't have to worry about their safety, and they have more companions. They can entrust their sisters and the Spalier world to others and follow Wu Yin into the dungeon world. At least on the surface, it's a normal world. How can the two girls not be happy? In the end, in the beginning, Hinajiku was just a normal high school student. Makoto's identity wasn't normal, but she wasn't as busy as she was now. She didn't have a normal girl's life at all. Chuju and Makoto didn't regret becoming Wu Yan summons. However, the two girls were also looking forward to having the time to shop like ordinary girls. Under such circumstances, Wu Yin won't be so insensible as to break this normalcy. He can just send the items back. There's no need to spoil the mood of the two girls for the sake of convenience. As for Chuju and Makoto's happiness, Wu Yan's smile didn't stop for the whole day. He followed behind the two girls who turned into shopping maniacs. He was responsible for paying while accompanying them to play. If it wasn't for seeing how happy Chuju and Makoto were, how could Wu Yin keep up with their feminine talents and not get tired of shopping? It can be said that without Chuju and Makoto's smiles as motivation, Wu Yin would have collapsed from exhaustion. Just like that, under the two girls' high spirits, time slowly passed. Not long after, the sun turned red and slowly set on the other side of the sky. Makoto stretched her back and couldn't hide her happy smile. Today's shopping is so comfortable, yeah. Chuju ran her fingers through her hair and looked at the sky. But it's getting dark and we've bought most of the things we need to buy. Let's go back. Why don't we cook dinner tonight? Makoto suggested while looking at Wu Yin with a rare interest in her voice. Yin, what do you think? Sure. Wu Yin didn't object and nodded. Just wait for me to go back and we can start eating. Wait for you to go back. Chuju and Makoto both stopped what they were doing. They almost forgot that today, Wu Yin still has to go to those places where the mana is distorted to find a way to enter the mirror world. Thinking up to this point, the two girls stopped smiling and looked straight at Wu Yin. Do you need us to go with you? No need. It's not like we're going to fight. Wu Yin stretched out his hand and smoothed the messy hair on their forehead. Don't worry. It's not like we're going to flirt. Who's worried about that? Chuju and Makoto's face blushed, and they looked annoyed. Then go quickly and come back quickly. Got it. With that, the three of them went their separate ways and headed to their respective destinations. The curtain of night fell. There's a river in Fuyuki City, and above it, there's a bright red bridge. Wu Yin came out from the other side of the city and walked on the edge of the bridge. He looked at the river below with a serious expression. There's a total of 4 to 5 distorted mana sources in Fuyuki City. One of them was in the vicinity of this river. In order to find out the exact location of the source, Wu Yin came to the bridge and carefully observed the movement around the river. It should be around here. Furrowing his eyebrows, Wu Yin stopped at a spot near the center of the bridge with the help of the surrounding lights. Looking at the clear river below, Wu Yin slowly closed his eyes. In his perception, there's an extremely unnatural and sticky mana fluctuating around him. It feels like smoke on the battlefield. It's very uncomfortable. Under such mana fluctuations, even a normal person would subconsciously avoid this place and not approach the source of the distorted mana. Those who have a keen sense of mana would feel uncomfortable. But because of this uncomfortable feeling, the source of the distorted mana is too obvious to Wu Yin. At a certain moment, Wu Yin opened his eyes and looked at the river below. The source of the distorted mana is somewhere on the riverbank. Wu Yin turned his body slightly and disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the location he sensed. Because of the limited bracelet, Wu Yan's power is suppressed to level 75, but the amount of mana is still at the same level. Originally, the amount of mana and the strength of one's strength were not directly related. Powerful mana only meant that one could use more magic and spells in battle. Some powerful magic and spells could also be used by relying on a large amount of mana. It could be said that it was related to explosive power and endurance. Teleporting from the bridge to the river bank below is a piece of cake. Wu Yin squatted down and looked at the red brick floor. He touched it twice. This is the source of the distorted mana that Wu Yin sensed. If one were to visualize the distorted mana in this place, one could see a black and purple smoke-like gas rising from the ground and spreading into the sky. This thick smoke was all distorted magic power. Wu Yin directly covered his hand with the distorted mana on the ground and closed his eyes again. An intricate geometric magic array suddenly appeared, as if summoned. With Wu Yan's hand as the center, it fiercely expanded and rotated. At the same time, a tidal wave of mana surged out from Wu Yin, who was half kneeling on the ground. It looked like a torrent of light that soared into the sky. It connected with the sky above. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.